jerseys as Nike is officially retiring them. It's going to be Yu Darvish on the hill for the Pods going against Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks. First pitch is set for 6:40. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage begins right here at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kickoff around 12:30. And then after that, the FC, they take on San Jose in their final home game of the regular season. Our pregame coverage will start right here at 7 o'clock. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it with eBay. You'll find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
The Padres finish up the season versus the D-backs at Petco. Now we look to next week's wild card round, and the Aztecs face another road test versus Northern Illinois. Plus, it's SDFC's last regular season home game. Next up, the playoffs. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, it's maybe John, but definitely Jim.
Yeah, it's not John today. It's just Jim and Brent. Happy Friday, everybody out there in San Diego. 4-hour show for you today. Really good show for you today. We have a bunch of guests lined up. Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to join us at 3:30. Greg Camarillo, our weekly Friday NFL guest, going to join us at 4:30. Kevin's going to join us at 5:30. And then John's going to join us from Chicago at 5 p.m., where the Padres will be going to next week for the wild card round. It's not officially official yet, but Cubs all over the Cardinals today. I think it was 11-1. It was
11-1 last I saw, yeah.
Yeah, they actually just won the game 12-1. So their magic number is down to 1 to clinch the 4 seed. The only way that the Padres could get the 4 seed now is by sweeping Arizona and the Cubs losing their next 2 games against the Cardinals. Is that likely? Probably not. I think the percent chance of that happening is actually very low. You know, Arizona still has something technically to play for, and they moved all of their starters, not all of their starters, but they just moved Zach Gallen back to tonight, and then they have their regular starters for tomorrow and Sunday. And now the question is, you know, do you try to chase something with a very low percent chance of happening? Or do you just say, you know what, we're not going to, you know, put too much stress on our team this weekend, not a lot of high leverage moments that we're going to, you know, stress our guys out. And we're just going to concede that, look, us getting the 4 seed, probably unlikely. Let's gear up, get ready for, you know, next week in Chicago. I think that's the strategy that's going to be used. I do. I would be shocked if the Padres try to go all out in the next couple days, especially knowing that, you know, they need to hit a flush here on the final card. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. So now we move our sights to Chicago. It's pretty much official. I think I'm going to call it official. Padres Cubs next Tuesday. We don't know the time yet. We'll find that out on Sunday night, late Sunday afternoon, after all of the games are completed. They're going to Chicago. And look, on one hand, we talked about this yesterday after the Dodgers clinched the National League West. On one hand, you know, I feel a little disappointed. I mean, what about you out there? 70470, start your message with team. 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in today. But there has to be just a little disappointment right now, because this team had it set up for them perfectly. Easiest schedule in baseball in September, record-wise. I'd be curious to see if that's still held up. They had a 1-game lead in the National League West at one point. And now they're the 5 seed going to Chicago. What happened? I mean, we all know because we all watched the games, but like that in itself to me is a little disappointing. Now, once Tuesday comes, I'm washing that away and I'm focusing on them trying to beat the Cubs in Chicago. as they will, as all fans will. I don't think in the second inning on Tuesday, Brent, fans are going to be like, you know what? I can't believe we didn't win the division. No, the focus will be on trying to beat the Chicago Cubs, as it should.
I think they've already forgot about it. I think they had their day yesterday to not pout, but kind of just think of what could have been. And now they've moved on. It's time to play the Cubs.
I also think they moved on after they clinched on Monday. I think after Monday's clinch, there wasn't a thought in their mind of like, let's go for it because of what the lineup they put out there on Tuesday. Now everything broke their way on Tuesday, so they kind of, said, all right, let's push it here on Wednesday, and then you lose that game, and then the Cubs, and the Dodgers win, and the Cubs win today, and the Cubs win yesterday, and it's like, okay, well, we're gonna move on here. So look, going into Chicago, Cubs are a really good home team. They haven't played great of late, but at home this year, they're 48-31. That's really good. In comparison, Padres at home this year are 49-29. So they're pretty much the same at home as the Padres here are at Petco Park. On the road, the Cubs are 42-39. Padres on the road, that's where the whole thing kind of scares me because you look at the Padres on the road this year, 38-43. That's not great. And they have one series win against a playoff team on the road this year. One. And that came against the Brewers way back in, I think, June.
I think it might have been earlier than that.
Probably earlier than that, yeah. And that was before the Brewers became what the Brewers are right now, before they went on their run. They were not the Brewers that we see today. So how much does that factor in to this upcoming series starting next Tuesday night in Chicago? I think it factors in a little, but also you have to look at this as it's the postseason. Anything can happen. Padres back in 2022, they ran through two 100-win teams, and they were only an 88-win team. I think it was 88 wins. Yeah, 88, 89. And they ran through 200-win teams on the road, which is exactly what the Padres will have to do now, except the teams they're facing aren't 100-win teams. But they will have to go on the road to start the postseason. And we talked about this last week. If you look at the schedule, Padres not being a good road team, can they flip that switch? Because, there is a good chance if they played a full 3-game series in the wild card round and a full 5-game series in the DS, and then you get to the NLCS, assuming that you aren't the higher seed and that you wouldn't be facing the 6th seed, which would either be like the Mets or the Reds, like what happened in 2022, where you ended up getting home field, but 3 on the road in Chicago. Then you'd have to travel to Milwaukee for the first 2 games on the road in Milwaukee. So that's potentially 5 straight road games to start your postseason run. Then you come back to Petco for 2, and then game 5 would be on the road. So that's 6 of your first 8 playoff games, potentially all on the road. And then if you happen to get through that and you get to the NLCS, first 2 games on the road there. 8 of your first 10 on the road in the postseason. If the Padres were to play 3 in the wild card and a 5 in the division series, 8 of your first 10 on the road. Can the Padres just wipe away? Oh, I know we were a really bad team on the road this year. Maybe really bad's too harsh, but we weren't a good team on the road this season. So you know what? We're going to go and we're going to play some great baseball on the road. I hope that happens. We'll see. There's really no other choice, to be honest with you. There's no other choice here. Like, they have to play well on the road in the postseason for them to get to a World Series and to eventually, hopefully, win a World Series. There's no doubt about it. For a team that was not good on the road this year, the path is now clear. You will have to play good on the road right away. Right away. There's no other choice. They can't ease into this. Like they have to come out on Tuesday and play a really good brand of baseball to start against the Cubs. And it's possible. It's 100% possible. And I see a lot of doomers out there like, this thing's over. Cubs are going to smack them. I mean, maybe. And guess what? If that were to happen, congratulations, doomers. You get to say you were right. But you don't want to say that. Like, if you're a doomer out there, you do not want to say you're right about this team, because then that would mean they don't win and they do lose and they do get their ass kicked by the Cubs. You want to be wrong if you are a doomer. I know it. Deep down, you're doing this to try to trick yourself, to try to have this ultimate jinx. But who knows? Come Tuesday, they could win game 1 5-0. I mean, anything's possible here. It's not set in stone that just because you're a road team in the postseason, you're automatically going to lose that series, especially in the wild card round. How many times have we seen a road team in the wild card round win that series? Well, I mean, last year there was a bunch. Year before that, there was a bunch. Year before that, Padres were one of those teams that won on the road and beat a 100-win team. So just watch the games if you're a doomer. I'm telling you, anything could happen. Now, the confidence level going in for me isn't like that high, but hey, nonetheless, they're in the postseason and they have a chance. And if they do lose, then guess what? This team did not change. They are who we thought they were, which was not a good road team. If they win, then it just proves that, in the postseason in Major League Baseball, nothing's guaranteed. And it feels like, at times anything's possible. Padres had home field in the National League Championship Series in 2022. Look how that turned out. It's not set in stone just because the Padres will now be going to Chicago starting on Tuesday that, they're going to lose. There's no point. If you feel that way, then don't watch the game. Like, if you feel that way, just don't watch. I know I'll be watching every single pitch. And I'll be rooting for the Padres to advance here. Now, Brent, you're in a little bit of a pickle here. You're in a little bit of a pickle. How are you going to consume these games?
I'm going to root for the Cubs.
Yeah, Brent's a lifelong Cubs fan.
After this series, I'll root for whoever wins.
Right.
I'm not going to be if the Cubs, if we get our asses kicked by the Padres, I'm not going to come in, on Friday and be like, have a Milwaukee hat or something on. No, I'll root for you guys to beat the Brewers, because I'm not going to cheer for the Brewers or the Dodgers. So
yeah, there's really nobody else if the Padres were to lose.
And I'm not going to cheer for an American League team. Come on.
Yeah, of course.
That's gross.
It is. Yeah, I agree with that. So look, it's becoming clearer today that the Padres will be going into Chicago. Again, like I said, it's not officially set in stone, but you would need a damn near miracle this weekend to end up getting the 4 seed and hosting playoff games here at Petco Park next weekend.
At least
next week, excuse me.
At least they'll know early, because the Cubs play an early game again tomorrow. So they'll know before they have to turn in the lineup card whether it's, even technically still possible or not. So they can,
and that's a good thing.
They could, yeah, that's what I mean. They could rest people tomorrow because they'll know before they even do the lineup card tomorrow. So.
Yeah. So Darvish is starting tonight. I do think they try to win this game. I do think that if there's a chance to go for it, they're going to go for it, because resting guys right now, so far out from game 1 of the wild card, I think you would start seeing that potentially tomorrow at the earliest. Tomorrow, and then definitely Sunday. But tonight, yeah, they're going to go for it. They're going to go for it tonight, off the off day. Tatis is going to potentially return. We'll see about that later in the show today when the lineups come out. We'll also hear from Mike Shildt later in the show as well. And speaking of Mike Shildt, he talked about the return of Fernando Tatis Jr. We'll hear Mike Shildt's thoughts on Toddy potentially returning tonight, coming up next, right here on San Diego Sports 716 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Speaking of SDFC, Adrian Garcia Marquez going to join me at 3:30 today to talk about their home finale tomorrow night against San Jose. So I'm just looking right now. Annie Halbrun, very good friend of the show, just tweeted out, it remains to be seen if Fernando Tatis Jr. will be in the lineup as he is likely still recovering from his illness, but Fernando just walked into the Padres clubhouse. He has not been with the Padres or in the clubhouse for the entire week. So this is the first time that Toddy is back in the Padres clubhouse today. Usually around 3-ish is when the lineup starts trickling out for the Padres. My guess is they're going to see how he's doing, how he's feeling, and then we'll see a lineup with hopefully Fernando Tatis Jr. back in it because they have no more time to wait to get Toddy, ramped up here for the postseason, because dealing with an illness like that, that's brutal. Sometimes when you're sick, you can't do anything and you lose weight and you lose fluid. I'm sure they probably had an IV just like attached to his arm nonstop this past week for whatever illness he had. But that's good news that Toddy's back in the Padres clubhouse today. We'll keep you updated on if he is back in the lineup. Yesterday, Mike Shildt did speak about Fernando Tatis Jr. and his illness and him potentially returning to the lineup today. This was on Foul Territory on YouTube. This is what Shildt had to say.
Yeah, listen, he's just been sick, man. He's been, he's run down. He's been posting every day all season and getting after it. This guy plays really aggressively. I was going to say something probably wouldn't be appropriate, but yeah, he gets after it, and might have just gotten to the point where he got sick and worn down, and just for the alarmist out there, he's ultimately fine. He's feeling better today. As far as weight goes, we monitored him pretty closely. I think he's going to be fine. He's a guy that can lose some weight but can put it on pretty quickly. He's really an amazing athlete and physically. As we all know. But, short answer to wrap it up is we expect him to be back tomorrow and be ready to rock and roll over the weekend and get ready into the playoffs.
So that's good news. Get a couple of bats this weekend for Tatis, probably more than a couple, to be honest with you. But my guess is he's back in the lineup tonight. He'll be in the lineup tomorrow. Most regulars are probably going to get an off day on Sunday, and then let's go to Chicago.
Yeah, I think he'll play more than any of the others this weekend. Even if say the Cubs win again tomorrow morning and they know they won't have anything to play for, I think he'll still play, even though the rest of the team will probably, there's the starters anyways, most of them will rest. Just because he needs to shake off the rust of just not doing anything. Everyone's been sick to where you just, lay in bed for a week, and then once you leave, it takes you a while to get back into it. And him being a big athlete like that, it's going to take a minute to get back into the groove.
And it was such a bummer that he went out when he did, because dude was hot. Over his last 15 games, he was hitting .311 with a .368 on base percentage and a .508 slug. 4 homers, 8 RBIs. His last week, he was 11 for 29. He hit .379 over his last 7 games. That's really good. Hopefully, missing the time that he didn't screw up timing or mess with his, bat at all. It's hard to think that it didn't. But when he went out on Monday with the illness, you're like, that's a bummer. Because Toddy was hot. He hit a home run on Sunday in Chicago against the White Sox, which was a very funny, comical moment. Did you see what happened on Sunday? We never even talked about this. So Tatis hit a home run on Sunday in Chicago. And if you were listening to the broadcast, seconds before Tatis hit that moonshot over the left field wall, a fan got picked up on a crowd mic and said, "Hey, Toddy, you want a new syringe?" Or something along those lines of giving Tatis a syringe. And like millisecond later, Tatis hits that home run. Very ironic timing for sure. But hopefully Tatis is going to still be swinging a hot bat, because before he went out with his illness, man, he was red hot. And we all know the history of Fernando Tatis Jr. in the postseason. He is a postseason big-time player. They're going to need him, obviously, duh. But if Manny Machado is going to continue to be performing the way he's performing right now, which is god awful, and if his postseason numbers continue to be what they are over his career, which are really, really bad, you're going to need Fernando Tatis Jr. to play like Fernando Tatis Jr.'s played in the postseason, which is so far one of the best postseason players, that we've seen. There's no denying that once the postseason comes around and if Tatis is healthy and available and he's in, a lineup in the postseason, he produces. And not only does he produce, he hits nukes and he becomes one of the most feared hitters in baseball. So hopefully the hot stretch that he was on in September leading up to the postseason didn't get wiped out because of this sickness. I really hope that's not the case. Because that's the last thing. Like, you need Toddy here. And so hopefully we see him back in the lineup tonight.
It's out.
All right, what do we got?
He's batting leadoff.
Okay, he's batting leadoff tonight. Any other changes in the lineup, or is this the regular lineup?
I'll just run through it quick. Tatis is batting leadoff. Farais is hitting second. Manny's hitting third. Jackson's batting cleanoff. Then Xander's at fifth. Sheets sixth. O'Hearn 7. Crony 8th. And for me 9th. So pretty much standard lineup.
Standard lineup. That's good news. That's very good news. So we'll talk more about that coming up later in the show. Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to join me at 3:30. Greg Camarillo at 4:30. Kevin Acee at 5:30. We'll have the wrap for you later in the show as well. But coming up next, if you missed our conversation yesterday with Aztec's assistant coach, Ryan Battertelli, you're going to hear that coming up next. This is Jon and Jim right here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Toyota of Poway in the heart of San Diego. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect uniforms, as Nike is retiring them. As we just talked about, Fernando Tatis Jr. is back in the lineup and batting leadoff. It's going to be Yu Darvish pitching for the Padres and Zach Allen going for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. Tomorrow afternoon, the Aztecs are on the road to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. Then following the Aztecs, San Diego FC takes on San Jose in their final regular season home game. Our pregame coverage starts at 7 o'clock. Toyota of Poway voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. With APRs as low as 0% and new Toyotas in stock, there's no better time to buy during the Toyota of Poway sales event. Only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotaofpoway.com, right in the heart of San Diego.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. John's on his way to Chicago as we speak. We'll catch up with him later in the show. Hopefully. We'll see about that. Kevin Hasty is going to join me at 5:30. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup today after missing the last 3 games with an illness. So that's good news. We'll talk about more of that coming up next. But if you missed it yesterday, Aztecs assistant coach Ryan Battertelli joined us here on Jon and Jim, and we asked him to start our conversation yesterday, the lead up to the regular season and how the offseason practices have been going.
I think everyone kind of just has this anticipation for this time of year where, there's just a feeling that things change. Practices are longer, and you start thinking real seriously about, what the hierarchy is amongst the team and how things are going to fit together. And then you look, down the tunnel a little bit. And like you said, 3 weeks from now, we're playing a game in front of a crowd. It used to be where, the rules were you're doing most of these, games that you play in October as closed door scrimmages. And now that we're playing in front of a crowd, in front of our fans, and playing against what has become a rival from up the freeway, there's a lot on the line. And so we look at it like, we're preparing to play a game, and we're obviously not going to be in mid-season form by then. But obviously it's something that we shoot for, because once you start playing and you start going a little bit longer with practices, guys start getting tired of playing against each other and playing against the scout team. And so it's really exciting to know that you're ramping up to play against somebody else.
You guys have a really deep team, maybe the deepest team in San Diego State basketball history. When you look at the depth of this team here, Coach, how did the decisions? Is it harder to make these decisions to make sure you get every guy's playing time, or how does the decisions go into making sure that the depth of your team is used in the best way possible?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think those are a lot of times it's good problems to have. I mean, if you want to complain about the depth of your team and having too much talent, I mean, there'll be a lot of coaches around the country that they'll scoff at you and say, hey, those are rich people's problems. And I think, we kind of look at it the same way. And we've got incredible talent from top to bottom on our roster. And it gives us an opportunity to do a lot of different things, both offensively and defensively. And I would say one of the things that Coach Ducker is probably most talented as is putting people together. And so putting together a roster with our returners and then with new incoming players that fit well together is I think his specialty as much as anything. And whether it's our team or whether it's our staff, I mean, he has such a great feel for that. And so the depth of our roster, comes from, just continuity within our program, which is something we take pride in, and then picking the right pieces that go along with that, who are incredibly talented players that are about the right things. And so they're hard decisions to make, but there are also, a benefit to having those hard decisions. And as much as anything, as we train guys and we go through practice, the guys looking over their shoulder, knowing there's another guy that's really talented right next to them that are fighting for those minutes and those opportunities. And that's really healthy competition that makes teams go from good to great.
Ryan Battertelli, San Diego State men's basketball assistant, with us right now on Jon and Jim, home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. So with all the depth and some of the competition that's playing out, how do you feel about what's playing out at point guard specifically? I mean, you bring in a terrific young player in Sean Newman Jr. We know about Some of the young players, LZ Harrington, a true freshman, Taj DeGorville, we saw obviously a year ago. How do you feel about the way that position is coming along at this point?
Well, the competition level's high. I mean, and that's what we love to see. And there's I don't think anybody that's ahead of anybody really right now, because each one of those guys brings different things. And to be honest with you, those guys that you mentioned all fit well together at the same time. And so the different combinations, like I talked about before, is really valuable to have. I mean, Sean is super versatile. Obviously, he's a point guard and a true point guard. But you talk about Taj DeGorville, you talk about BJ Davis, LZ Harrington. Those are all guys that play really well with one another, and they're super versatile, both offensively and defensively. And so, have we set on who PG1 is yet? Absolutely not, because the competition is at its fiercest right now. And that'll evolve over time as we put more stuff in, as we get an idea of what combinations work best with each guys. And I think that's a big part of it too, is who the starting point guard may have to do with the other four guys as much as anything, is how that guy fits in with those guys and who's maybe better off the bench for us. And that's the biggest thing. And the best college basketball teams I've been around have been the guys that didn't really care what their necessarily their role is on the team, but understanding that their role is vitally important no matter what it is, and to really work their minutes when they have those opportunities. And that's going to be a part of, the coaching process for us, is getting guys to buy into what those roles are, because we will have depth, because we will have a lot of talent. It's going to be different guys on different nights. And I think that might be the same case with who's playing that point guard spot.
How's Magoon looking?
Magoon's been great. I mean, I'm excited to see him, every day. I mean, because I think he's making progress every day. He's doing a little bit more every day that I see him, whether I see him in the training room or in the weight room. A guy, especially at this stage of their life, gets more confident when all of a sudden the long sleeve shirts are not on anymore and the shirt comes off a little bit more. I see him on campus and all of a sudden he's basking in the sun a little bit. And I'm like, okay, Magoon of last year is not doing that. And so there's some pride that he's certainly taking in terms of his growth and development. And this happens a lot of times. He's able to see how the weight room translates into onto the court. And once he's been able to see, I mean, I think everybody who watched the Aztecs were able to see an evolution of Magoon Guaf in terms of his physicality, his strength, his ability to score around the rim. And that was a direct correlation to, one, his experience, and then also just the work that he's put in the weight room. And some of that is the work in the weight room. It's his eating habits, it's his sleeping habits, and all those things that naturally happen as young men, grow up and become more mature. And so I love, seeing where he's at, and really excited to see once he gets, fully cleared, where he can go from now until when season starts.
Aztec men's basketball assistant Ryan Battertelli with us right now on Jon and Jim. How ready at this point is someone like Reese Waters that missed last year, unfortunately suffered that injury late in the preseason, then missed the entirety of the year? How ready is he? Plus, how careful do you need to be with him as this new season approaches? And you make sure he's ready to go for the upcoming year.
Reese is ready. That's the one thing I can tell you, with certainty right now is he's ready. And I think he is working his way back into, playing, more 5-on-5 and more up and down and putting possessions together. And that's everybody with the start of practice, just because we're going up and down so much more. But he's ready. He's healthy. He's got an edge about him right now that's different. I think having sat out last year and being able to see the game through a different lens, I think is helpful for him. And it's helpful for us as coaches, because I can pull him aside and say, hey, remember the comments you were making last year about what we should be doing? All right, let's put those into action now a little bit, Coach Waters. And so, he was a coach on the sideline last year, and now he's on the court. And sometimes the bench and that view is sometimes the best teacher. And I think he'll benefit from that year and being able to see it from that perspective. But in terms of what he is, I mean, I had lunch with Reese yesterday, and I almost forgot. I mean, he played in the Elite Eight, he played in the Sweet 16. I mean, he has experience, and he's been on winning teams and obviously been in our program, so he knows what it is. And I think he's turned the page in terms of his defensive intensity. And I love seeing that, because I think more than anything, he's embraced that side of the ball. And that's what's going to, determine what level of pro he ends up becoming, is how much he can evolve his game on that side of the ball. But everyone knows what he does on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think there's a better shooter in the country.
We've had a handful of guys on with us over the course of the summer, and all of them talked about how they wanted to step up in leadership roles. When you have so many guys on the team that want to become and be leaders, how does that make you feel as a coaching staff to have, a handful of guys that step up and say, I want to be a leader, I want to be a leader? What does that make you feel like as a coach?
Well, I think it tells me and it tells us that guys know that they need to do more and they need to be more. And it makes you feel great as a coach because, when guys want to embrace leadership, you get to challenge them, as they want to embrace those roles in terms of walking the walk. Because if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to be that every day. You can't be a leader one day and then one day decide that you don't want to be it. And so with those guys wanting that responsibility, you're able to ask them, all right, how can you be consistent in that? And they're not going to be perfect, but that's always a reminder you can give them is you have to walk the walk every day. You have to be about it. You have to go about your business in a way that's in a professional manner that, whether you lead by example, whether you lead with your voice, if you do both of it, you're going to have to show up every day. And if we can show up consistently every day, and if we have a group of guys that will do that on a consistent basis, we'll see how good we can be, because that's going to be the separating factor as much as anything is doing those hard things every day when you don't feel good, when you're not feeling as great, when you drop a game or you don't have a great practice. Is how you come back the next day. That's going to determine the level that we compete at, not anything else as much as anything, because that's what separates the great teams. Like, we know we have a chance to be really, really good. Now, to what degree will be determined on how we approach every single day. And it starts now as much as anything. And that, going back to your question about practice, that's the best part of when you start practice is those days stack. And we got to make them stack every day so that those experiences are valuable experiences that we can draw from as we move towards the season.
It is a long journey that fans will get to see begin against UCLA in an exhibition. But San Diego State men's basketball, of course, is on the floor getting ready for these exhibition games against UCLA and USD. And then, of course, the opener of the season will be here before we know it in early November. Ryan, always appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you on the Mesa at some point soon. Best of luck in the preparations for the year, and thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Go Aztecs.
All right, that was not head coach. That was assistant coach Ryan Battertelli there for the Aztecs. All right, coming up next, Ramon Liriano. We know he's going to miss maybe the entire postseason, depending on how far the Padres go or how far the Padres don't go. He'll definitely miss next week in Chicago. We'll hear from Mike Shildt about the loss of Ramon Liriano coming up next. Also, Adrian Garcia Marquez going to join me at 3:30. Greg Camarillo going to join me at 4:30. Kevin Acee at 5:30. You're listening to Jon and Jim right here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. right, starting Monday, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. I'm an idiot. With the bonus bucks giveaway. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. starting Monday, September 29th. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com starting Monday at 6 a.m. Okay, so we know Ramon Liriano is going to be out for the postseason. Likely the postseason. It's not yet known if he would miss the entire postseason if the Padres were to, I don't know, go to the World Series. But he will for sure 100% miss the wild card series next week in Chicago against the Cubs. And I don't think there's any understating it. It's a big loss. It's a big loss from the standpoint of you lose a right-handed everyday bat in your lineup. Defensively in left field, you drop there with Gavin Sheets going out and being your left fielder, if that's the route they go, over Ramon Liriano because he's injured. And you're going to probably have to face, a lot of lefty on lefty matchups here come next week in Chicago. Cubs have a bunch of lefties, Imanaga, Boyd. They got, I think, 4 lefties in their bullpen. Padres are going to have, I think, 6 lefties in their lineup. Arise, Sheets, O'Hearn, Merrill, Cronenworth. No, only 5. Is that it? Am I missing anybody? Cronenworth, Merrill, Sheets, O'Hearn, Arise. Okay, so 5 lefties in their lineup. And there will probably be a lot of lefties on the mound for the Cubs next week. Mike Shildt was on the Foul Territory podcast talking about the loss of Ramon Liriano and just how big it is to lose him for the postseason run.
Yeah, it's a good point because when we acquired him, I didn't know Ramon very well and got to know him, and clearly a talent, having a great year. And as we, did the research on him, it's like, oh, this dude's like top 5 against righties. So he's not a splitty dude. Didn't feel like he needed to platoon him, rewarded that. Great tough at bats against righties, lefties, doesn't matter. Is a grinder, tough dude. Got a real edge to him, which I love. Competitor. It's going to hurt. Listen again. As the lineup was starting to get back, and we really hadn't had a full lineup that, talking about Preller, his vision for it, my vision for it, which is typical. It doesn't. A lot of teams go with that. It's not complaining. It's just a fact. And we were about to get that band together and have him, in that 7 hole, which, man, that's a dangerous dude in that spot. But he's going to be out. Going to be out for a while. How deep we go determines how likely he is to get back. Does it hurt? Yes. The one sign we have in our clubhouse is, Winners Find Solutions, and we're going to be there to support Ramon and be there for him to help him get back. But no one's going to feel sorry for us, and we got a deep team, and we'll ride what we got, and we'll feel good about it.
I'm trying to think, when have they gone a long stretch not having a full lineup together, other than this past week when Toddy was out with the illness? They've had a full lineup here since the trade deadline, or at least
unless you count X.
The vision. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, see again, Xander Bogaerts, to me, very forgettable player. That's good job, Brent. Yeah, I completely forgot about Xander. It's very easy to forget about that guy. So okay, yeah, then yes, Shildt is right. Obviously, they have not had a full lineup for a majority of the time after the All-Star break. They had it there for a minute until Xander broke his foot at the end of August. But if you were to ask me, though, Brent, who would you rather have in this lineup come October? Ramon Liriano or Xander Bogaerts? Who would be more impactful in your mind to have in this lineup?
Well, I want Liriano. We up until the trade deadline, we sat around and talked about how we had this glaring hole in left field and need somebody to fill this hole in left field. And then we go and we get our everyday left fielder to go in there and fill the hole. And then he gets hurt. And now we're back with, and like I said, Sheets will be fine. The only thing with this series is the Cubs have a lot of lefties.
Of lefties, yeah.
You're just going to have to either just have him roll with it and hope that, just because it's lefty versus lefty doesn't automatically, sometimes they can still get a hold of it even if they don't hit left-handed pitching very well. But they're just going to have to just go with it and hope that he can, just connect on a couple and just get some hits.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I understand, Xander's importance to the team because it just kind of puts everybody in their positions and, you don't have Arise playing second, you have him playing first, and then you have Jake Cronenworth at second, where he's very good defensively. I thought he was pretty good defensively at short anyway, but just and then having that right-handed bat in Xander in the lineup also helps as well.
I think that X's worth is going to be his mind in the postseason because he's played a lot of postseason games. He's played in, multiple World Series before. So I think that, we used to always, well, not us, but people used to always talk about, how Eric Hosmer was, the big clubhouse guy, and it doesn't matter that he's hitting. It's because, he's got the energy and he's got this great baseball mind, and that's what they need out of Xander Bogaerts, I think, this postseason. Yes, they need him to hit the baseball too sometimes, but I think more or less they're just going to need him to kind of be like a second manager almost in the dugout. And just, if somebody, if Manny strikes out his first couple times up, you got to, keep him focused. And, I think his mind is going to be his most valuable thing because his bat hasn't been worth that much this year.
Well, his bat hasn't been worth much in the postseason, just as early as last year with the Padres, because that's the only time that Xander has been in the postseason with the Padres. Last year in just 7 games, 24 bats, he had 167 with a 564 OPS. Not great. Career, Xander, not that great in the postseason. 223, the 675 OPS. And he's played a lot of postseason games, 51 postseason games. Obviously, he's been to World Series. He's won World Series before, but he has not really shown that he is like this great postseason performer. And they're going to need him, just like they're going to need every single person in this lineup to do their job. Because come postseason time, you are not a fully healthy team. You're not. The loss of Ramon Liriano hurts. I think the loss of Jason Adam hurts even more. And we're going to find out if they can overcome that. Because as Shildt always says, winners find solutions. All right, coming up next hour, Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to join me at 3:30. Also, who's in your Super Bowl bubble this year? Well, Colin has some interesting teams in his Super Bowl bubble. We'll hear what Colin has to say about that. We'll also discuss that coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Staples. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park when they take on the Diamondbacks. It's going to be the last time the team also wears their City Connect uniforms as they are being retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish going for the Padres and Zach Gallen going for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. In NFL news, Brock Purdy's back, Jim. He's going to start this Sunday against the Jaguars. He has missed the past 2 games because of a toe injury, but Kyle Shanahan has confirmed this afternoon that Purdy will start Sunday against Jacksonville. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kickoff around 12:30. And then following the Aztecs, San Jose is in San Diego to take on the FC in their final regular season home game. Our pregame coverage for that starts at 7 o'clock. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 11/1. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
The Padres finish up the season versus the D-backs at Petco. Now we look to next week's wild card round, and the Aztecs face another road test versus Northern Illinois. Plus, it's SDFC's last regular season home game. Next up, the playoffs. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, it's maybe John, but definitely Jim.
Yeah, definitely Jim on a Friday, hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to join me at 3:30. Greg Camarillo at 4:30. Kevin Acee at 5:30. So we have still a loaded show for you for the next couple hours up until 6 p.m. So last night, Thursday Night Football kicked off week 4 of the NFL. It's already week 4, Brent. It goes by fast. Like what?
Yeah.
Already week 4? What the heck? But last night, it was not a good game up until the final, 5 minutes when the thing kind of turned and Seattle misses a field goal and then Arizona goes down, they score, but left too much time for Sam Darnold. Seahawks ended up winning that game on a last-second field goal. Cardinals have lost back-to-back games on last-second field goals. I mean, that is just the most brutal way to lose a game. Now, they had a lead in the Niner game. They came back and tied the game up last night, but losing both games the way they did the last 2 weeks. And by the way, it's not 2 weeks. It's just like 4 days because that was on Sunday and then Thursday. So 2 games they've lost on field goals in the last 5 days. Just brutal from Arizona's standpoint. But now with Seattle winning last night and Sam Darnold playing well, relatively, for Seattle, Colin Cowherd has decided today to plant his flag in the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold's camp. Okay. Seattle's good. Not denying that. They're in the Niners division. Am I scared of Seattle? Yeah, I am. Even though the Niners beat Seattle on the road in week 1, I am still scared of Seattle. I think their defense is very good. I think Sam Darnold makes enough plays. And, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's a really good, potentially top wide receiver in this league. So Seattle's good, but are they Super Bowl contender good? Well, Colin Cowherd thinks so. And here's Colin's Super Bowl bubble.
So the teams I think are in the Super Bowl bubble: Rams, Chargers, Eagles, Bills, Packers, and Seattle. I think Baltimore can win a couple playoff games. I don't trust their defense. I think Detroit, in the end, do I worry that the quarterback is a strictly pocket quarterback? I like the Colts. I don't think Daniel Jones is winning 2 playoff games. I like Denver. They're not playing well. I think Tampa, you got to trust they're going to win their division, but I think there's a little fool's gold winning over bad teams late.
Seattle? Super Bowl bubble? Huh?
Yeah, that's why I think it's funny. He went through all those things of, Baltimore is this, and this is okay, but you have faith in Seattle that they can win 2 playoff games, and it's just
he loves Sam Darnold. Like loves Sam Darnold. I don't understand the love affair with him. Probably because he's from USC. So anything USC, Colin glazes that, and you know, it is what it is. But other than Seattle, and I think Seattle's a good team, and I think they're going to make the postseason, and they're going to be a tough out. There's no doubt. But 5 of the 6 teams he named in there, he's absolutely right. Like right now, Brent, who would you put in your Super Bowl bubble?
Eagles, obviously.
Okay.
I'd still have Baltimore in it.
Okay.
Buffalo.
Okay.
I think it's going to probably be Buffalo in the Super Bowl. I don't know how many people are in our bubble.
Doesn't matter. You can put as many as you want. You can put the Browns in your bubble. Doesn't matter.
No, I don't think I'm going to do that. even though they had that big win last week.
Huge win over the Packers. Probably your favorite win of the year, other than your Bears.
Well, yeah, that was my favorite one of the week, at least. No, but pretty much Eagles, not Seattle. Seattle's going to make the playoffs, and they might win a game or two, but I just can't see them, winning the Super Bowl. But yeah, just the NFC is just the Eagles, pretty much. I don't have a lot of faith in anybody else.
Okay.
Everyone's always high on Green Bay, but they just lost on the road to Cleveland, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's going to be either just Baltimore or Buffalo. I don't, the Chiefs might wake up,
so
but
you
I
have
don't.
2 teams in your bubble?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the AFC is deep, but there's a lot of these teams that I just don't think that they're good enough to win the Super Bowl.
All right. So in my bubble, I'll put in Buffalo. I'll put in Baltimore, but they're like just on the fringe because their defense isn't good. And Lamar has not shown yet that he can win in the postseason. So with that, they're a kind of a fringe team in my bubble. I hate to do it, but I'll put the Chargers there. Now they're dealing with a bunch of injuries, and I do think that will come back to bite them in the butt. But Jim Harbaugh's a really good coach. And Justin Herbert is ascending to elite quarterback status on and off the field, by the way, if you know what I mean. Philadelphia, absolutely. I'll put Green Bay in there if they stay healthy. Micah Parsons continues to get better, and that defense continues to get better. I mean, they only gave up 13 points against the Browns. It's not like they lost 34-10. I like Detroit now. Their win on the road against the Ravens. Like, if you're going to put the Ravens in your bubble, how could you not put the Lions in your bubble? Because they just went toe-to-toe with Baltimore in Baltimore and put up 38 points. Now, they did get their butts kicked in the opener of the year in Green Bay, but I think if they stay healthy, Aiden Hutchinson's back, their offense, the 2 running backs they have, Gibbs and Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, like, I know they lost both their coordinators, but if you just take away the Green Bay game to start the year, has anybody been more impressive than the Detroit Lions in the last 2 weeks?
I don't know. What, because they put up 52 on the Bears?
They put up 52. I know, but here's the thing. They put up 52 on the Bears, and then they put up 38 on the road against Baltimore. I'm putting a lot of weight on that Baltimore game.
Yeah, I know. My whole thing is it's just so early.
I get it.
There's just not a big enough sample size because a lot of these teams, even take Seattle, since Colin's, so in love with them, they haven't played a lot of good teams really yet, have they? Arizona, and I'm going to bring their schedule up quick.
I mean, do you consider the Niners a good team, even though they have a bunch of injuries?
Did Purdy play in that game?
Purdy did. He did. He came back and won that game.
Oh, well, then they lost. Did Seattle lose, or who won that?
No, Seattle lost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Purdy came back, game-winning drive.
I would count that one, yes.
Okay.
Because Purdy played in it.
And Seattle, the Saints game, that doesn't count. that one doesn't count. Steelers on the road.
See, it's still too early for the Steelers too, because I can't tell if they're for real or not. See, Colin should have done this in like 4 weeks from now when everyone's had like a bigger sample.
Well, here's the thing, Brent. We need 3 hours to fill. Well, he does. We need 4 hours to fill. And of course, there's always going to be overreactions all the time. After week 1, it was like, Packers are going to win the Super Bowl because they beat up on the Lions and Micah Parsons. And it's like, I get it. Slow down. But we do have to break this up into like sections of the season. And I think once you get through 4 weeks of the year, I do think the picture becomes a little more clear on teams, barring injuries, right? Take the injuries factor out because that plays a massive role. One team could look amazing, like the Eagles. They don't look amazing, but still, what if Jalen Hurts got hurt on Sunday and he misses the rest of the year? That changes the opinion of everything.
Well, we've played enough to tell, we know
who the top teams are, and we know who the teams that are going to be good this year.
Well, yeah, like all the people that were like, sorry, Sammy, that were picking like the Bears to make the wild card and everything. That's probably not going to happen now. I think we've seen enough that if they do, they're going to make it in by the skin of their teeth. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, and I think Arizona, even though their 2 losses came, with field goals, I don't think that they're going to stick around. I think we've seen enough out of them. It's just some of the elite teams. It's like, okay, Detroit, you showed that you can beat up on the Bears and you beat Baltimore, but I want to see, the next time you play Green Bay, how you do and stuff like that, opposed to, like you said, we don't count the Saints games and stuff like that, to where a lot of these teams have been playing teams like the Saints. Well, and it's hard to judge them by it.
Lions play the Browns this Sunday. That's a win at home.
Should be.
If it was on the road, it'd be different. I mean, Cleveland, for some reason at home, their defense against good offenses, like they just play well, especially against that style of offense, like the Packers and the Niners and the Lions. But Lions at home against the Browns, that's a win. Lions on the road against a Joe Burrow-less Bengals, you have to think that's a win.
Should be.
Lions Chiefs, Sunday Night Football, October 12th. At Arrowhead. That's going to be a good game, followed by the Bucks, the Vikings, the Commanders, Eagles. So that stretch right there, probably know the Lions are for real or not.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we'll find out. I do like the Lions. I'd put them in my Super Bowl bubble. But officially, my Super Bowl bubble right now, I got to have the Bills. I got to have the Eagles. I'm going to put in the Lions. I'm going to put on the fringe Baltimore. I'll put in the Chargers, I guess. I'll put in Green Bay. Tampa's really hurt. I want to put Tampa in there, but they're really hurt. Same thing with the Niners. If the Niners had Nick Bosa, it'd be a different story, but I can't, in good faith, even though I'm a Niners fan, put the Niners in the bubble, because losing Nick Bosa, I think, is just a massive, massive loss for them for the rest of the year. Now, the one thing that I heard about, the Niners that gave me a little hope is you just have to look back as early as last year when the Lions, who got the number 2 seed in the NFC, they lost Aiden Hutchinson early in their season. He's not as good as Nick Bosa, but still, he is an elite pass rusher in this league. They lost him. Now their defense completely crumbled on the other side of losing Aiden Hutchinson. But still, losing Aiden Hutchinson early in the year last year for the Lions, they still went on to be the number 2 seed in the NFC. Niners losing Nick Bosa early this season, they're 3-0. I still think they have a lot of work to do to prove that they could be a top team in the league, but I mean, it can be done. Winning the Super Bowl? Nah, that's not happening. But making the postseason? Yeah, I can see it happening. All right, Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to join me at 3:30, but coming up next, remember the guy that caught Cal Raleigh's 60th home run ball and then gave it to a kid, and we were like, bro, why did you do that? That ball's worth potentially over $100,000. Well, the Mariners saw that, and they have rewarded this fan I'll tell you what they rewarded him with. Coming up next on Jon and Jim right here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 and iHeartRadio bring you Global Citizens Festival 2025 from New York City at Central Park's Great Lawn. Live performances from The Weeknd, Shakira, Tyla, and more, all hosted by Hugh Jackman. Join the movement to end extreme poverty now, one action at a time, at globalcitizensfestival.com. Check out Global Citizen Radio all day on the iHeartRadio app, or listen to Hit Nation tomorrow at 7 p.m. So Cal Raleigh, 60 home runs on the year. The debate about who should win American League MVP is in full force. Ben Verlander, the just Ohtani King Glazer, has made an opinion why Cal Raleigh should 100% win the American League MVP. I would love to see Cal Raleigh win the American League MVP, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. In any other year, he wins it. But Aaron Judge's numbers, like, they're too good. They're too good. You know, the only thing that Cal really has over Aaron Judge is 60 home runs. Well, I mean, Judge's got what, 51, 52? It's not like Aaron Judge has 27 home runs and he's putting up all these other numbers, and Cal Raleigh's got 60. I mean, it's pretty close. Now, if Cal this weekend goes out there against the Dodgers and hits like 3 homers to break the American League home run record set by Aaron Judge a couple years ago, even then, I think it's going to be difficult for Cal Raleigh to win the American League MVP. So he hits his 60th home run the other night. Amazing accomplishment. Guy in the stands catches the ball, immediately gives it to a kid. We talked about this the other day and how much that baseball potentially would be worth. My guess, I mean, just ballparking it here, $70,000 to $100,000, depending on, you know, how much it appreciates. I do think with the market of memorabilia, that ball could go for more than that, because the memorabilia market, the card market, the everything, like, it is just blowing up right now. And Cal Raleigh's 60th home run ball probably could have netted this guy, let's just say $100,000. All right. So let's just say that baseball was worth $100,000. So the Mariners saw it, obviously, because this made its round on social media and it went viral. So the Mariners stepped in and said, you know what? We're going to treat this fan, because of what he did for the kid, giving the baseball to a kid when he could have easily kept it and made a boatload of cash on it. So obviously the Mariners hooked this guy up with like season tickets for all of next year, playoff tickets, a bunch of signed memorabilia, right? No. He got a signed bat by Cal Raleigh and a picture. That's it.
Was the picture signed? Oh, he got a picture taken with him. Okay.
Right. He got to meet him on the field for batting practice. And I think his family got to come down there as well. So in the last 2 weeks, we got a Mike Trout 400th home run ball that was traded in for a game of catch on the field. And we got a Cal Raleigh 60th home run ball that was given to a little kid, basically worth to the Mariners a signed baseball bat. Huh? do these guys know that this is worth a lot of money?
Did the whole team sign the bat, or just Cal?
Just Cal.
And it's going to say if Rodriguez and all those guys, they signed it too, then maybe I'd be like, oh, okay.
And let's see here. I think I favorited it because Cal wrote something on the bat like, thanks for being a nice human being, or something like that. Yeah, he received a signed bat, and he got to watch batting practice from the field.
Yeah. I've done that before. It's not worth $100,000.
No, batting practice is not even close worth close to $100,000.
You're constantly worried you're going to get hit by a ball.
Even that, you're just standing there. You're not even close. You're like 30, 40 yards away. You're like, oh, cool. I have to stay between these like little ropes here.
Oh, I didn't stay between the ropes. I was walking around. I probably would have gotten in trouble.
So again, I think it's a nice gesture that the fan gave the ball to a kid, but you don't give the 60th home run ball to a kid. I'm sorry. It wasn't like you stole the ball from a kid either. And be like, oh, just kidding. Sorry. You know, you would have turned into the Seattle Karen of the Seattle Mariners fan base.
See, if I'm this guy, I'll be okay with this as long as in 3 weeks from now, you know,
That ball doesn't go up on
little
auction.
Billy doesn't throw that ball up on eBay for sell it to some auction site for, like you said, $100,000 or something like that. If he just keeps it and, frames it and puts it in a thing, and this is, a great father son moment memory or whatever for the rest of his life, then that's fine. The bat is worth it. But if he gave it away just for this kid to go and then have his dad sell it, then I would be mad.
It's like, yo, that ball is what? Sold for how much? I can't
wait. If I was going to sell it, I would have just sold it myself.
I can't wait until I see that ball going up for auction and it be sold for like $125,000. I cannot wait, because this guy is going to sit there looking at his signed Cal Raleigh bat, thinking to himself, what the hell did I do? Now, maybe the guy's rich and he's well off and he doesn't need any money. Maybe. I don't know.
Could be.
And he's like, look, I'm fine. I got plenty of money. I don't need it. Here you go.
I still like the deal. He got better than playing bare hand catch with Mike Trout for 2 minutes on the sideline after the game.
Dude, on the field playing catch with Mike Trout, like, huh? That baseball, the 400th home run baseball, because Mike Trout will go in the Hall of Fame, that's going to be worth a lot of money. Man, got to think, guys, if you catch an historic baseball, you got to leverage this thing out. You can't just give up and give in. These things are worth a lot of money.
I would at least made Trout give me free Subway for life or something.
I don't even know if I'd want to accept that.
Oh, I would for free. Free Subway's good.
Free Subway, yeah, anything free is good. But at the same time, that means I would have to eat a lot of Subway. And I don't know if I'm good with that. All right, coming up next, Adrian Garcia Marquez, play-by-play announcer for SDFC, is going to join me. Coming up next right here on Jon and Jim and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect uniforms, as they're going to be retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish on the hill for the Padres and Zach Gallen going for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. In NFL news, Brock Purdy is back in the starting lineup for the 49ers. He will be starting against the Jaguars on Sunday. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. And following the Aztecs, San Diego FC plays their final regular season home game against San Jose. Our pregame coverage with Darren and Adrian starts at 7 o'clock. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the gift master of your family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at straighttalk.com or Walmart.
All right, San Diego FC's final home match of the regular season tomorrow at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 kickoff time. Our pregame coverage starts at 7 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And the voice of SDFC, Adrian Garcia Marquez, joining us now on Jon and Jim. First off, thanks for joining us, Adrian. And secondly, I mean, tomorrow, final home match of the first inaugural season for SDFC. Just how has the first season been for you calling these games?
Buenas tardes, Jim. Yeah, it's been great, man. It's a dream come true, and I'm not understating that. I'm honestly, it's just been an absolute dream to be part of this and be part of the organization. And, just be able to put a soundtrack on this phenomenal first run for SDFC. I mean, just blowing past all kinds of milestones, mileposts, just getting everything done that needs to be done. And it's been a joy from top to bottom, working with the organization, from everybody at, the Sequan band, the Kumeyaay Nation, the Mansours, obviously Tom Penn, Tyler Heaps, and Mike Ibarras, and everybody else, Seb Morua, that's made it all happen, hermano. And I think this is why we're seeing the success. It's just because of the way this thing was run and has been run from day one. And today was a great example of all of that coming together, as it was the presentation earlier today at Singing Hills for the Right to Dream Academy first generation.
Yeah, tell me about that, because you were there, you were emceeing. So how did that go? And tell us about, the Right to Dream and moving forward and how much that's going to help SDFC.
I was talking to David Feitelson, who's a well-known sports writer, and one of the things that he's very controversial in a lot of the things he does, but he says, wow, this is refreshing. There's no controversy here. There's nothing but solid work being put in by many, many people. And when you see it all come together and the message that they're sending to the rest of Major League Soccer and sports in general in this country, just the way that they've done it from day one. Don Garber was there, the commissioner of MLS, and he was actually very impressed with everything that's happened because of how quick they've made it happen and how diligent they've been from day one. And then today, you get to see this, guys. You get to see like the whole thing come together with the kids. Now, can I throw the names out there? Can I say their names?
Absolutely.
All right. So Sebastian Danis. All right. He's from San Marcos. A kid from Bonita, California, Roman Espinosa. From Sacramento, Jonah Delizo. You have Thiago Terrazas out of Tijuana. From Forest Ranch, you have a Jackson Gales. Jose Hernandez, also, he's from Las Vegas. Eagleton Niff, what a great name for that kid. He's from Vegas. Mateno Lenders. I'm going to keep going. Cole Krebs, Leonel Perez, Felipe Garcia, Sebastian Soto, Will McCormick, Prince Wilonja. What a great name there, too. Chino Garcia, kid out of IB. Kylan Lewis, Luca Vandervelde, and another name that sounds like that. That's a big time name. I'm all about names. Fernando Tatis. You see what I'm saying? They have to have a star name. Become a star someday. Nico Macias, Nicolas Bolivar, Jim, all of it, hermano. So it's just great that the kids were there today and they showed up and they were able to be presented with the first team. Such a special moment for the whole entire organization. So it was a lot of fun to be part of it today.
All right, Adrian Garcia Marquez, join us here on Jon and Jim. Tomorrow, final home match of the regular season. They got 3 matches left in their year. They're still looking to clinch the top seed in the Western Conference. They're going to have to play some good soccer here down the stretch because Vancouver is on their tail. Supporters Shield we'll see about that. But for you, what do you want to see from this club in the final 3 regular season matches before they get ready for the postseason?
All right, I'm going to be selfish here, okay? But we need that third guy to join the party with Anders and Chucky. There has to be another element at the point of attack to help take a little bit of that pressure off for the DPs. And once we get that other guy to be able to provide a threat, then we're truly in business. I don't think, at least right now, I haven't seen one team in the Western Conference other than maybe Minnesota do a really, really good job of keeping San Diego FC from getting into their flow. So I really want to see that selfishly, just a third guy to join the fiesta up top, help Anders, help Chucky. The middle of the park is solid. The backline boys are absolutely solid with CJ Los Perros under the 3 pipes. Hermano, everything's there, and a great manager and a great sporting director in Tyler Heaps. All of the ingredients ahead of schedule. Forget that they're an expansion side. This is a very good soccer team, and I think that they're just going to close it down, lock it down here in the end. But we need that third guy to help Chucky and Anders get the job done at the end here.
All right, SDFC taking on San Jose tomorrow night at Snapdragon Stadium. Of course, you can listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. So you mentioned Anders Dryers there. He's in the MVP conversation. Probably going to be hard for him to overtake Messi because Messi's had a fantastic year, and he's also Lionel Messi. But, you know, his season has been an MVP-ish like year. What's it been like to watch him, and just, you know, what do you make of his first year here in San Diego?
You know, it's something to be said when you show up, new franchise, new city, nobody really knows you outside of Denmark, and you pull up and say, give me the 10. I want the 10 right now. It raised eyebrows. We're like, whoa, slow your roll. Who's this guy? And here we find out who he is. 15 goals on the season, 33 goal contributions. He's been the heart and the soul of everything that San Diego FC have done, along with Jeppe Terskop. You can throw in Irving Chucky Lozano, but Anders Dreyer, it's hard. You know, we always talking about MVP races and what it means. The most valuable player. I all due respect, and I love Messi. Messi's the greatest player, one of the greatest to ever live behind Pelé and Maradona. But I just think that if you take Messi out of the equation in Miami, I still think Miami will be in the hunt. They'll still be winning games. You take Anders out of the picture here, and I don't know if this team functions in the same form and fashion the way that we've seen. So he's definitely been the most valuable player on San Diego FC, and it's just a joy to watch him play, how he tracks back, how he does so many of the unselfish things as a player. He could totally act star power and be that guy, but he's not. He tries to show you and lead by example as a team player all the time. And I feel that that's been contagious across the board with Chucky, with Jeppe, with Anders, with Anibal. And then you see the young guys, see the older guys, if you will. They're not old. They're all really young, but the veterans behave that way. So what do you think you're going to do as a younger player? You're going to behave the same way and let them lead you. So I think that all of that put together, Anders Dreyer has been a great example on and off the field.
Adrian Garcia Marquez, voice of SDFC, join us here on Jon and Jim. Of course, SDFC's final home match of the regular season tomorrow night, 7:30 against San Jose. You know, when you look at how this team has played this year, particularly on the road compared to at home, what do you make of that? They've been incredible on the road, but at home, I don't want to say struggled because I don't think that's the right word, but they have not been the same team at home like they are on the road. So tomorrow night, do you feel like tomorrow night's an important match as they head into a postseason where they will probably start here, you know, at Snapdragon Stadium?
Yeah, it's been kind of a strange, right? Tale of two things, you know, not two cities, but two different situations when it comes to them being on the road, 8 unbeaten straight while they're, you know, on the highway, and then they come home. But really, it's kind of like in boxing, you know, styles make fights. And a lot of teams, when they come into the Murph Dragon, they don't come in wanting guns blazing. They're just going to be like boring fighters like, you know, Floyd Mayweather. They're just going to want to jab and play, you know, just, you know, kind of monitor their defensive skills as opposed to go on full attack and try to blast you the way Canelo wants to get into that phone booth with you. And that's what our guys do. That right to dream style of play, Mikey Vadas, it's relentless. They want to fight you. They want to go in a telephone booth and take you out. That's not the case when teams come to visit. You kind of see them kind of maybe opt for a better results. Therefore, they make things a little bit more difficult. The game isn't as free flowing as we see on the road. When we're on the road, obviously Mike Ibarra says we're not throttling off. I don't care if we're in their building. We're going to play the way we want to play. And that's been kind of like the stark difference between the two teams when it comes to San Diego FC at home as opposed to San Diego FC on the road. It's been basically that. Styles make fights. Teams don't want to come in and throw down with our guys in our home building.
Final one for me, Adrian. Just talking about the culture that's been built here, and we're close to the end of season 1, year 1 with SDFC. It just felt like from day one, the culture was set with this amazing fan base, and it's just grown and grown over the course of a year.
It's been amazing, and that's, I know that word gets thrown around a lot. Amazing. Everybody says amazing. It has been absolutely asombrante. Amazing. Sep Morua, who doesn't get enough credit. I think he's, the chief marketing director there with San Diego FC, young crack. He's been there, done that from Europe to here. And he was instrumental in putting together Frontera SD and bringing together the supporter groups that had already existed, that already know their stuff, already had their music, their chants, their vibe, and to bring it all together and give us, and this is Portland Timbers Army. These are some of these other supporter groups that have been around for a while, tipping their hat to San Diego FC's Frontera SD and their supporters, because they've come onto the scene full blast, strong, and have become one of the best and most important fan bases in the league in year one, just hand in hand with everything that this organization has done. So hats off to them as well. I think that they've been absolutely phenomenal all year long.
I know I said final one, but I know you're a Padres fan, and Padres next week will start the wild card series, most likely on the road against the Cubs. And I feel like you can make a cardboard box exciting to anybody out there. So make Padres fans excited for next week when they start the postseason against the Cubs, most likely on the road, hopefully to potentially get to their first World Series since '98 and win their first World Series in franchise history. Get us excited, Adrian.
Oh, all right, here we go. I got something for you. Tell Mike Usher to dust off those old cassette tapes that had the Cub Busters. You remember 1984? Last time they threw down Cubs, Padres, and they had that song because Ghostbusters was the in song. So in San Diego, I remember I was like in 4th grade, and I used to enjoy that vibe. The Cub Buster songs, man. Bring them out. Bring out those Cub Buster T-shirts with that little cub and the X, no entras, no ositos here. Bring that up. I think the Padres guys are going to start swinging. They're the swinging friars. We want to see that happening. It starts with the Cubs. It's all about getting into the dance. Doesn't matter how you got to the party. All the chicas are going to be there, and Fernando's going to want to talk and do it with the bat. Manny Machado is going to wake up. I think everything's going to come together at the perfect time for the Frailes to go after it. And like you said, go chase it down for the first time since 1998. Get into that fall clásico. Let's go.
I was -5 in 1984, Adrian. So does that make you feel old?
Hey, I was only in 4th grade, man. I was still a little kid.
Okay,
myself,
that's fine.
So
yeah,
if
you're
you
good.
I do feel a little older, though. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Now I feel more viejo.
There we go. Adrian Garcia Marquez, voice of SDFC. What's up?
And just real quick before we go, man, and I'm already feeling old already with the Chargers, with that 3-0 start for the first time since 2002. And I was remembering the Chargers back in the day, obviously, when they had those nice little run-ups, getting things started, open the season strong. We're kind of taking the clock back. So, yes, Cub Busters is back, and the Chargers winning the division is back. Everything is lining up. San Diego FC joining the party. Let's go, Jim. Vámonos.
Love it. Adrian Garcia Marquez, voice of the SDFC, joining us here. We'll talk to you later. Have a great call over the weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, man?
Thank you, buddy. And Darren and I'll be waiting for all of you, so come join us.
Love it. 7:30 kickoff time at Snapdragon Stadium. You can listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, coming up next, it's goodbye City Connect jerseys as the Padres will wear the City Connects for the final time tonight at Petco Park. One former Padre said it's his favorite jersey ever. Who is that former Padre? You'll find out coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Thanks to Adrian Garcia Marquez for joining me today. Greg Camarillo joins us at 4:30, our weekly NFL Insider on Fridays. Then Kevin AC is going to join me at 5:30, and we'll see if we can get Jon on the phone from Chicago in the 5 o'clock hour. But you've been hearing it all week. It is SDFC week. We gave away a bunch of tickets yesterday. Also, we had on our Instagram page an opportunity for you to win a signed SDFC jersey and a pair of tickets for tomorrow night's home match against San Jose. And we have a winner. Shout out to Martin from Instagram for winning the signed SDFC jersey and the pair of SDFC tickets for tomorrow night. So congratulations to Martin on Instagram. You got to follow us on Instagram, guys. SD Sports 760. We give away stuff on Instagram. And if you want to win, like, signed jerseys or tickets or just regular jerseys, you got to follow us on Instagram. So follow us right now, SD Sports 760. All right. So tonight, Brent, is the final night of the City Connect jerseys. Not the biggest fan of them.
Me neither.
I'm not I don't have this vitriol hate towards them like some people do. And I don't have this, love for them like a lot of people do. For a lot of people, these are their favorite jerseys. Me, on the other hand, I'm they could have done a lot better.
I don't hate them as much as I did when they first came out. They kind of grew on me to a certain extent.
They grew on me too. I wouldn't be caught dead in a City Connect jersey, but look, for the players actually really like them. And we'll see what the new City Connects will be next year. Joe Musgrove has said that they're more clean and to the point. These ones were in your face, here's a bunch of neon colors, right? I've seen, Jeff Pearlman is.
Yes.
Jeff Pearlman put out a post on his TikTok saying that the Padres City Connect jerseys were by far the worst jerseys that have ever been made in the history of professional sports. Yeah. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's a bridge too far, but I will say, they weren't my favorite.
Yeah, I can think of 3 or 4 teams with worse ones just off the Cubs original City Connects were awful.
They were bad, yeah.
The Rocky City Connects with the license plates were awful.
They were bad, yeah.
This year's Phillies City Connects were bad. Awful.
Yeah, I do think the White Sox.
Oh, the Bulls ones? Yeah, those are awful.
Those are bad too.
The only way those could have been worse is if they brought back those uniforms from the 70s when they had the shorts. Remember
yes.
The White Sox used to have uniforms with shorts. They looked like a softball team.
City Connect jerseys should be throwback jerseys, but with an updated, fresh look.
Yeah.
The Giants City Connect jerseys this year, those go into the category of worst jerseys of all time. The purple and orange and black, those talk about the worst jerseys you've ever seen in your entire life. Just look up the Giants 2025 City Connect jerseys. Oh my God. That is an abomination. But these City Connect for the Padres, they're not the greatest. They're not the worst. They're kind of just meh to me. But to this player, let's see if you recognize who this is. To this player, this is what he thought of the City Connect jerseys.
Who has the best uniforms in Major League Baseball?
For me, I love the City Connect from San Diego. That's going to be my number one. That's my favorite one. I love it when I wear it.
Did you catch who that was by listening? Play that again, Brent.
Who has the best uniforms in Major League Baseball?
For me, I love the City Connect from San Diego. That's going to be my number one. That's my favorite one. I love it when I wear it.
If you guessed Juan Soto, you're right.
I was going to say, here's a hint. Ball 4.
or Padres fans hate this player, former Padre player, even though he's one of the best players in baseball and, put up a career high in home runs this year, stole 30 plus bases, had an OPS in the 900s. But yeah, he sucks. So to the point of for me personally, not the biggest fan of City Connect, but for players, players, I think, love the City Connect for the most part. I think the Dominican players love the City Connect. I do think, seeing Mike Shildt in a City Connect jersey, sorry, Mike, can't really pull it off, but like Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado, like those guys, they can pull off a jersey.
And kids love the City Connect jersey. You go to Petco, it's like every kid you see there has either the City Connect hat or the City Connect jersey. So it's real popular with the kids.
I do also think the female demographic,
yes, they love it too. Yes.
The City Connect jerseys. And I think that was what the City Connect jerseys were tailored towards. I think it was tailored towards a younger crowd. I think it was tailored towards, the female side of Padres fandom. I do think that's where it was targeted the most, because the diehards, you're not going anywhere, right? If you're going to create something just for the diehards, well, what about everybody else? They want something that they can latch onto. And I think that's what the City Connect jerseys did. I think it latched onto a different side of the fan base, a different fan in general. And I think it brought in other Padres fans that maybe wouldn't have been Padres fans if the City Connect jerseys were not the way they were for the last 4 years. So we'll see a new one next year, and I hope it's more tailored towards like the history of the Padres instead of something funky and new. But we'll see.
I just want something subtle. Yeah, less is more, Nike, if you're listening. Phil, if you're listening, less is more. My worst nightmare is that they're going to slap some giant panda head or some crap like that on here because of the zoo, because they're going to go, oh, San Diego and the zoo. And then that's going to be our license plate, jerseys like the Rockies. So that's my worst fear. So just less is more, Nike. Just, go subtle. Do some sort of hybrid of what year was that? The 98 with the pinstripes and the orange. Just do some sort of hybrid with that and, some other classic Padres jerseys from the past. And that would be cool.
By the way, I don't know if Phil Knight at 87 years old is thinking of him. I don't think he's ever seen the Padres City Connect jersey is my guess. Do you think he's seen the Padres City Connect jersey?
He might. His accountant probably saw the check once or twice.
Do you think he's like, let's look to see what the Padres City Connect jersey is?
He's like, no, we need 20 more Oregon variants.
Right. All right. Coming up next, we have the wrap next hour, and Greg Camarillo going to join me at 4:30. Stay right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by ChooseChangeCA.org. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park against the Diamondbacks. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect uniforms, as they're being retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish going on the hill for the Padres and Zach Gallen going for the Diamondbacks. First pitch is set for 6:40. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 10:30, and John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. And following the Aztecs football game, San Jose is in town to take on San Diego FC in their final regular season home game. Our pre-match coverage with Adrian and Darren starts right here at 7 o'clock. Addiction to drugs, including opioids and stimulants, can strip away the things that make you uniquely you. Recover your life. Choose a proven drug addiction treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at ChooseChangeCA.org.
The Padres finish up the season versus the D-backs at Petco. Now we look to next week's wild card round, and the Aztecs face another road test versus Northern Illinois. Plus, it's SDFC's last regular season home game. Next up, the playoffs. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, it's maybe John, but definitely Jim.
Hour 3 of Jon and Jim on a Friday. It's definitely Jim. It's not John today. We'll catch up with Jon from Chicago later in the show. Maybe. We'll see how things go. But we'll definitely catch up with Kevin Acee at 5:30. Greg Camarillo at 4:30. Our NFL Insider brought to you by Hamul. So can't wait for that. But right now, Brent, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
It's tomorrow a must-win game for San Diego FC.
It's not a must-win game because they're going to make the postseason. Obviously, they've already clinched. But if you're looking at this team to secure the top spot in the Western Conference and a chance to win the Supporters Shield, yeah, tomorrow in that sense feels like a must-win game. And also to just start playing better at home. You know, they're really good on the road. We talked to Adrian earlier in the show, and they're great on the road, but when they're at home, they struggle from a sense of, you know, the other team kind of packing it in, and it's been frustrating for SDFC. So I think from the standpoint of Supporters Shield, while that's not the biggest concern, top seed in the Western Conference, that's a concern. And also playing better at home, that's also a concern. Like, that's why tomorrow is a must-win game for those reasons. Not because they need to win to make the postseason. They're already in. So that's why tomorrow's a must-win game for SDFC. All right, next question, Brent.
Do you think 49ers are making a mistake starting Brock Purdy instead of Mac Jones against the Jaguars this weekend?
You're going to be surprised with what I say, Brent, because I think, yes, it is. And here is why. Not because I think Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. That's not my reasoning. The reasoning is, did you know the Niners play on Thursday Night Football against the Rams?
Oh, he'll get a short rest.
In LA, by the way, on a turf field. What did Brock Purdy get? Turf toe. Do you really think it's wise? Because you know he's not 100% healthy. Even though he's not on the injury report this week, I'm sorry, he's not 100% healthy. No one really is. But playing Brock Purdy on Sunday is fine in a vacuum. I'm all for it. Like, great, Brock is back. That's awesome. But knowing they also play on Thursday Night Football on the road in LA on turf against a really good Rams team, I think I would have waited to play him until Thursday night. Now, you could also make the case, if you're a 49ers fan, like, well, why would you want his first game back to be on turf against the Rams when you want to have him go out there and get back into, you know, game rhythm before a pretty crucial game on the road against a division opponent? Okay, you can make the case there. I just think it's going to be a tough turnaround. Now, hopefully he stays healthy. Knowing the Niners, they're gonna suffer another major injury on Sunday anyway. So what's the point? Who cares? One of their starters will go down on Sunday. It's just what this team does. They can never stay healthy. But I do think there's a little risk involved playing Brock on Sunday and a quick turnaround on Thursday. But look, if they deem him to be fully healthy, then he's fully healthy. But again, I do not trust the 49ers medical staff. I think they're one of the worst medical staffs in all of football. And with that being said, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? Next question, Brent.
Is Team USA cooked in the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, I think so. So here's the thing. They trail the European team 5.5 to 2.5. All right. To win the Ryder Cup, you need 14.5 total points. There's 28 total points available. Tomorrow is a crucial, and I mean crucial day for Team USA. If they don't come out guns blazing tomorrow morning and like dominate in the morning, this thing is over. It's done. And you had an awful day if you're Team USA. Awful day. Like, this is what they could not afford to have happen. And guess what? It happened. They're down 5.5 to 2.5. I think if they don't come out tomorrow morning and put up a big morning, this thing is going to be over pretty quickly.
Stupid question from someone that doesn't watch golf. If the Euros do get to that 14.5 or whatever they need, say they do it tomorrow, do they just cancel Sunday or do they just play anyways and it's just meaningless for the most part?
It's the first team to reach 14.5. So whenever that happens, it's over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They don't just play it out. They're like, oh, by the way, I know that we lost, but we still have some matches.
Well, I wouldn't know because
they
sold probably tickets and stuff for like Sunday, so I didn't know if it's just like, oh nope, they lost. You guys will just refund you. I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, so there's 28 total points available through the first 3 days, and they have the matches set up. So if this were to go until if someone does not reach 14.5, then they'll just go until someone does, and that would conclude on Sunday afternoon. So that's how that works. And right now, the Europeans are well on their way to winning another Ryder Cup here, and pretty embarrassing morning for Team USA.
Do they typically win?
Yes and no. I mean, if you think about it, Team USA has the better players. So in that sense, Team USA should win. It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's like Team USA basketball in the Olympics, like you have to always win if you're Team USA. But if you just look at the rosters for Team USA compared to the Europeans, Team USA on paper is better.
U.S. leads 27 wins to Europe's 15. And there's been 2 ties.
Yeah, so it would be considered an upset for sure. Next question, Brent.
Do you still have hope that the Padres could get the 4 seed?
No, I don't. Sorry. I have people on my mentions saying it's not over yet. If we sweep and they lose the next 2, then we get the 4 seed. Okay, what's the odds of that happening? My guess is less than 10%, maybe less than 5%. Just because the Cubs are playing a bad Cardinals team at home. Padres are playing a Diamondbacks team that needs to win and probably needs to sweep to have a chance to just make the postseason. Padres are already in. So the Padres, aren't playing for much this weekend. That's how I view it. And I think that if, the Cubs win tomorrow morning, you're not going to see anything from the Padres at all because I just think that they're going to see the writing on the wall and there's no reason to push it here because the most important thing for them going into the postseason right now is the health of this team, regardless of where they play. And they can't afford any more injuries. They've already had enough to keep players. Xander returning from a broken foot, that's good news. But then you lose Ramon Liriano. That's really bad news. Also, losing Jason Adam for the year, bad news. You see what's happening in your bullpen right now. Guys are struggling. And so you need to make sure everyone's rested, everybody's healthy, and ready to go for Tuesday, which will most likely be in Chicago.
Yeah, and from what I saw from the Cardinals this morning, from when I had the game on, that team, Sunday can't come fast enough. If you're a St. Louis Cardinal, even though they have the big rivalry with the Cubs, they just look checked out. Like they're just like, oh, is we played our last game yet? So we can just go pack up our lockers and go home.
Oh yeah, they are like we're going to Cancun 2 days here.
Mentally,
like,
they're already there. Their bodies are just behind them.
Absolutely. It's like, hey, we'll go to Chicago. Like, who cares? We'll just play this thing out. Doesn't matter. So yeah, we're going to get a Cubs Padres wildcard series in Chicago. It's just a matter of time before it becomes official. And look, would I love to be proven wrong on this? 100%. I would love to come in Monday morning or Monday afternoon talking about a home playoff series against the Cubs. And that would mean a lot needs to happen, that the Cubs need to kind of crumble here in the final 2 games against a really bad Cardinals team that is, like Brent just said, their mind's already in Cancun. And you have to sweep a Diamondbacks team that has been playing some pretty decent baseball. And they did lose 2 or 3 to the Dodgers, but they're playing pretty well.
Have they technically been bounced, or are they technically still in it yet?
They're technically still in it.
Okay, I was going to say, I think their magic number is at like 1 till they're bounced. But
if the Reds or the Mets win again, I think it's over. I'm pretty sure it's over for the Diamondbacks if that were to happen. Because right now, looking at the wild card standings, Mets hold the final wild card spot, and they lead Cincinnati by a game, and they lead Arizona by 2. So Arizona needs everyone to lose for every remaining game, and they need to sweep the Padres. That's kind of how this is going to go here, or this is how it needs to go for the Mets and the Diamondbacks and the Reds. Because I'm looking right now, I'm looking tiebreakers, right? Let's see here. Mets lose the tiebreakers against the D-backs and the Reds, so that's not good. Reds hold the tiebreakers against the D-backs and the Mets. That's really good. D-backs hold tiebreaker, obviously, against the Mets. They lose the tiebreaker against the Reds. So they have to beat out the Reds. They're a game behind the Reds, and they just have to tie the Mets if the Mets were to land in the final wild card spot. So it's a lot of math that I can't do live on the radio. We know this, guys. I can't do math, and I can't do scenarios at the top of my head. But it's a slim chance the D-backs make the postseason, but they're still going to be competing this weekend for sure. They're not just going to lay down. So we'll see what happens tonight. And if the Padres lose tonight, then it is officially done. They are not going to have a postseason wildcard series here at Petco Park. But 6:40, first pitch tonight, Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr. makes his return to the lineup. Coming up next, speaking of Fernando Tatis Jr., did he land in the top jersey sales in all of baseball this year? A couple Padres made the list. We'll give you that list coming up next. Also, Greg Camarillo going to join us at the bottom of the hour. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 congratulates all our $5,000 winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. There's still time for you to nominate a public school teacher making a difference, and maybe they'll be one of our next winners of $5,000 winners to make over their classroom. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. Greg Camarillo going to join me at the bottom of the hour. Kevin Acee next hour at 5:30. And we're going to hear from Jon here at the top of the hour, maybe from Chicago. So every year towards the end of the season, we see who are the top jersey sellers in baseball. Usually it's a bunch of Dodgers and Yankees and Mets. And so no different here once again. Shohei Ohtani, shocker, is the number one jersey seller in all of baseball. Aaron Judge is number 2, shocker. Freddie Freeman, number 3. Mookie Betts, number 4. Francisco Lindor, number 5. Juan Soto, number 6. Kind of a surprise here. Rafael Devers with the Giants at number 7.
But he switched teams, though.
He did, so that's probably a reason why, but did not expect a San Francisco Giant to be in the top 10 of jersey sales this year. Bryce Harper, number 8, Jose Altuve, number 9, and Fernando Tatis Jr. comes in at number 10, making the top 10 list for top jersey sellers in baseball this year. No surprise. I think Fernando Tatis Jr., even though I wouldn't consider him like one of the best players in the sport, I think that his style of play and his look and, his vibe, people want to be like Fernando Tatis Jr. They want to buy his jersey. He's very popular. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, you're seeing him, he's in that New Era commercial they play all the time with him dancing around all the hats and stuff like that. So you're starting to see him in more commercials, almost not to the extent that he was before his suspension, but you're starting to see him more on TV off the field.
Yeah, I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is still as close to a household name as you're going to get in baseball. You're not going to get the household name, of Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge, but I do think a lot of people know who Fernando Tatis Jr. is, even if you're just a casual baseball fan. And then you look at the rest of the list, and you get to the top 20 now. Ronald Acuna Jr. is 11th. Clayton Kershaw is 12th. Jarren Duran, 13th. Elly De La Cruz, 14th. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 15th. Pete Crow Armstrong, 16th. Pete Alonso, 17th. Paul Skeens, 18th. And Manny Machado, 19th, with Cal Raleigh at number 20.
That's the two on there that surprised me the most. Skeens is that
low?
Yeah, low on the list. And
he's a Pittsburgh Pirate.
But he's still Paul Skeens.
I know.
And, you think that's the one thing with baseball. You can play for a crappy team and people will still buy your individual jersey. Lots of people buy Trout jerseys, but the Angels suck. But between that, him, and the Big Dumper's only at 20?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you're a Pirate fan, do you want to buy a Paul Skeens jersey knowing that he's just going to be gone in 3-4 years?
Yeah, you might as well get it now.
It's true.
So when he goes in the Hall of Fame, you can go to the Hall of Fame thing and be like, hey, look, I got my Pirates jersey.
Cal Raleigh, I agree. He should be higher than that. Come on, Mariners fans. What are we doing here?
And it's not like it's one thing where he's just, caught on fire the last, month or so. He was like the star of All-Star Weekend, and he's been a big deal and a big vocal point of the American League this year. I figured he would have been a lot higher.
I also don't think Mariners fans are spread out throughout the country. I do think the Padres fan base has grown because of their not only postseason success, but of their exciting players, right? You see Padres fans in every away ballpark this year when the Padres are on the road. I mean, there are Padres fans everywhere. That fan base is growing and growing. I think Seattle, it's just like little Seattle up in the corner, just over there.
Maybe since they won the Vetter Cup this year, maybe that'll improve his jersey sales for next year.
Maybe you're right. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, the Mariners won the Vetter Cup. we have to buy a Cal Raleigh jersey. So, I mean, take it however you want to take it. Fernando Tatis Jr. is number 10 on the list this year. Manny Machado's 19th. I mean, those guys have been in the top 20 of jersey sales the last 5 years, especially since the Padres changed their jerseys to the pinstripes and the brown and gold. They're going to be a top 10, top 20 in jersey sales for the foreseeable future, right? So that's pretty cool. You know, not really anything shocking here. Maybe the Rafi Devers landing at number 7, and to Brent's point, Cal Raleigh just, only at 20. But hey, I think this is probably a pretty good list of top jersey sales in baseball. And so yeah, Fernando Tatis Jr. number 10, Manny Machado 19th. I don't think there's going to be any room for fake outrage that those guys aren't higher.
Well, no, and it's not. Baseball isn't like the NBA, for example, to where LeBron decides that, I'll just change my jersey number like every 5 years, so then everyone has to go and rebuy my jersey again.
And it's smart.
It is. I'm not knocking that part of it. It's business sense wise, it's really smart. But players do that a lot in the NBA where they change their number and stuff like that. To where in baseball, unless you get traded to a team and some Hall of Fame player already had your number to where you're forced to change, you're pretty much going to wear the same number your whole career.
All right, coming up next, our NFL insider Greg Camarillo is going to join me, talk about week 4 in the NFL. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Stay right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
Hey guys, it's Schaefer again, and there is no better time than now to get down to your local Toyota dealer with new vehicles arriving daily, including their most popular cars, trucks, and SUVs. So whatever kind of vehicle you're looking for, hurry into your Toyota dealer today, or make sure to head to Toyota.com. If you're looking for a great deal on a new Toyota, there you can check out all the latest offers and search inventory. Finding the Toyota that's just right for you starts at Toyota.com. Toyota's Beyond Zero lineup of electrified vehicles helps to create a greener planet. Toyota's Beyond Zero lineup supports a greener planet with a wide range of electrified vehicles, including hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and fully electric vehicles, or take each day further than you thought possible. And a new Camry with its stylish looks that'll make an impression wherever you go. See your Toyota dealer today and discover what makes Camry legendary. There's no better time than now to get your local Toyota dealer. Get your local Toyota dealer today or Toyota.com. That's Toyota.com. Your Toyota dealers, we make it easy.
This report is sponsored by Staples. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park against Arizona. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect jerseys, as they will be retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish on the hill for the Padres and Zach Gallen going for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. In NFL news, Brock Purdy is set to start this Sunday against Jacksonville for the 49ers. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. And following the Aztecs football game, you can see the San Diego FC take on San Jose in their final regular season home game. Pre-match coverage with Adrian and Darren starts at 7 o'clock. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 11/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. It's great to be joined once again, like we are every Friday for the football season. Greg Camarillo, former NFL wide receiver, and on Sunday night football in San Diego on NBC. Greg, thanks for joining us. We'll just start here this weekend. Pretty big matchup we have with the Ravens and the Chiefs. Both teams looking to avoid the 1-3 start. So I'll start here. The loser of this game, do you still think they make the postseason? And who's this game more important for?
Yes, I do. I think they both have postseason capabilities. I think the game is more important for the Chiefs because they're a bad team trying to figure out how to win. The Ravens are a good team trying to figure out how not to lose. And the Ravens have been on the brink of these victories, and it's Derrick Henry. It's just fumbles from Derrick Henry that have cost them victories. And if there's anyone I trust to figure that out, it's Derrick Henry. You could see how livid he was on the sideline, knowing that he cost his team another game. So that, to me, is easier to fix. Teaching Derrick Henry not to fumble, because he's been doing it for years. He'll figure out how to secure that ball. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to figure out how to play offense, which is going to be a bigger task. They have looked bad, but it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. If there's any quarterback that I trust to figure out how to get an offense going, it's them. And they're going to get Xavier Worthy back from injury, I believe, this week. Rashee Rice is on a 6-game suspension. He'll eventually come back. So there is optimism for their future. But I think it's more important for the Chiefs to try to right their ship. The Ravens are right there, knocking on the door. Just got to secure the ball.
Greg Camarillo joining us here on Jon and Jim, brought to you by the all-new Humboldt Casino Resort, the Players Place. Last Sunday night, Monday night, Lions-Ravens. Everyone thought that the Ravens were going to roll that game. Lions on the road, on grass, not really a great team, but Lions went in there and they punched the Ravens in the mouth. They've looked really good the last 2 weeks here, Greg. Would you put the Lions now in the upper echelon of the NFC, what you've seen from them, putting up 50-plus points against the Bears? I know it's the Bears, but going to Baltimore, putting up 38, beating the Ravens on the road. How impressive was that win, in your opinion?
Yeah, they're right back to where they were last year. And last year, I believe they went all the way to the NFC Championship game. It took a week to get the rust off and figure themselves out, which is totally normal, especially in the new era of preseason where almost no one plays. Jared Goff looks like he was last year when he was slinging around. Their run game is impressive. The difference this year is Aiden Hutchinson is healthy. Last year, he got injured early and they missed him. They still went on a great run, but now they have a very similar team that's healthy, that's firing on all cylinders. It'll be interesting to see this week. Now they have I believe the Cleveland Browns this week, which has been a horrible team, and then suddenly they go surprise the Packers last week.
Right.
It's because of their defense. They have an amazing run defense. So they're going to stop half of Detroit's attack, and Detroit has to figure out, can they survive with just the pass, or can they establish a run against a great defense? So this will really be their litmus test. And I know that feels weird to say the Browns are someone's test, But the Lions are a legit contender, and they're fun to watch too.
Greg Camarillo, former wide receiver, and you can watch him on Football Night in San Diego Sundays after Sunday Night Football. This segment brought to you by the all-new Hummel Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Let's get to the Chargers, because I feel like this year is going to be a year where they potentially break through instead of just being a one and done in the postseason. They're going to be a scary team. I think with all the injuries, it's kind of concerning, losing their left tackle before the season starts, losing Khalil Mack, but they have Justin Herbert and they have Jim Harbaugh. So with those two guys leading the way, I feel like the Chargers are a team to watch out for now in the AFC.
They are, and it's the Harbaugh magic, and it has been fun to watch literally every step of the way. So I used to work at USD. They always talked about how great Harbaugh was for that program. I'm a Stanford alum, so I watched and witnessed what he did to that program and turned them into a national powerhouse. The Niners were looking rough. He turned them in, took them to a Super Bowl, and then won a national championship with Michigan. And now he's doing it again. He was the correct coach that they needed to hire to change the culture of chargering, which is just blowing games late. And now he's doing it again. And it's so impressive because of those injuries that you mentioned. You lose your starting left tackle, who is a Pro Bowl guy, who they just paid $100 million. They lose another lineman, and I think Becton is out this week. And Quentin Johnson, who was fully labeled a first-round bust, is now a baller and is scoring touchdowns.
He's catching touchdowns. What's going on?
It's magic. It's the Harbaugh magic. Yep. So they not only are playing well with the talent that's not hurt, they're elevating guys, and it's amazing to watch. And then with Herbert as a quarterback, you're fine no matter what with him out there. But one part, Jim, that I've been really enjoying as a former receiver is watching Keenan Allen. Yeah. The guy's 33 years old. He's been a dominant receiver in his league for more than a decade, and basically at this point was trying to find a home because an old receiver, there's not much to do. He shows up and he starts balling, and so it's a lot of fun to watch that. Ladd McConkey's exciting. They are a good team, and I do agree with you that this might be the year that they can actually get rolling in the playoffs and not just squeak into the playoffs and be happy with that.
It was eventually going to happen at some point. Harbaugh's too good of a coach to not have this team, be one of the top teams in the AFC. So if you don't like the Chargers, I was I'm one of those people, Greg. I'm not a big Chargers fan just because of what happened here in San Diego. But when they hired Jim, but when they hired Jim Harbaugh, I was like, the inevitability of them becoming good. It's going to happen. Greg Camarillo joined us here on Jon and Jim. I feel like a sneaky good game this weekend that maybe not a lot of people are talking about are Rams Colts in LA. Yeah. With what the Colts have done so far this year. Now they haven't played great opponents, but Daniel Jones looks like a whole new person. Jonathan Taylor, I think he leads the league in rushing this year. They have weapons on offense. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Rams are a team that some have picked to, be in the Super Bowl this year. What do you make of this matchup? And are the Colts, in your opinion, for real?
Oh, that's a tough one. This week will tell us. It's too early to label them a contender. But they're undefeated, so you got to give them the credit for that. My favorite part about the Colts in general has little to do with football. It's Danny Dimes' new nickname that he's Indiana Jones, which is a beautiful name for Daniel Jones. And a quarterback's best friend is a run game, and Jonathan Taylor is delivering that. He's been doing it for years. This will be the game. The Rams are good. Sean McVay said this is the best team, the best all-around team that he's ever had, which says a lot for a Super Bowl winning coach. This will be the test for the Colts. They go on the road. They have to play a really good team. This is where we find out what they're made of. It's too early to label them a contender. If they win this game, then yes, let's throw them in there. But this is their big test.
Do you think the hot seat is very hot for Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins here? Yeah. It feels like this is a must-win game for them on Monday night.
Yeah, so going into their last game, when they were, on the verge, it started out bad. I think they were down 10-0 or something. I had texted the guys on NBC Sunday Night Football show, and text him, hey, if I'm not available this Sunday, it's because I'm the new interim head coach in Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
We thought it was heading that direction. And it's, it's just the nature of the business. It's if you're not winning, the head coach is looked at. That seat gets hot quickly. But then they competed. They played well. They played hard. So someone came out from their team and mentioned, we still believe in our coach. He has not lost the locker room. And to me, that is the total test. It doesn't matter how good or how bad you are. If your guys don't believe in that head coach, he's got to go. Because once you lose that trust, once you lose that belief, it is almost impossible to get it back. So as long as the guys still believe in him, he'll still be there. Even if you keep losing, you keep losing. As long as the guys believe in him, it'll be okay. Now, at the end of the season, if you had a terrible season, and even if they believe in you, you might get canned. But if the guys still believe, they won't fire you this early in the season.
Final one for me, and Greg Camarillo join us here on Jon and Jim. Packers Cowboys. That game is going to be probably one of the most watched games of the season on Sunday Night Football. Of course, we know the whole story with Micah Parsons. Green Bay last week did not look good against the Browns, losing that game 13-10. Are you, and the Cowboys also given up a million points so far this year.
Yeah.
Is this one of those games and situations where it's like, if you're a Cowboys fan, you might just want to look away here?
Yeah, I do think so. And I don't think it's going to be the Micah Parsons show, because if I'm Jerry Jones and if I'm Coach Schottenheimer, I need to do everything I can to make myself not look bad in this trade. I am sending a tackle, a tight end, and a running back to go find Micah Parsons and make sure he doesn't get the Dak Prescott. So what that means is the people that aren't Micah Parsons, this is their chance to eat. This is their chance to get after Dak, because you gotta make your decision look good, and it is not a good decision. Even if Micah Parsons has one tackle and no sacks, it's still a terrible move by the Cowboys to let him go. But the sign of a good team is how they bounce back from, so I should say one sign of a good team is how they bounce back from a tough game. The Packers stunk it up last week. As we mentioned, they lost to the Browns. This is their bounce back. What kind of character do you have? What kind of resolve do you have? How do you respond to adversity? We saw this, the San Diego State Aztecs had a rough game. They responded and had an amazing game. That's this moment for Green Bay. They had a rough game. If you're a championship caliber team, you respond and you play well, and they got to be motivated to get Micah Parsons a win against his old team.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a bad night for the Cowboys and Cowboys fans. Greg Camarillo, former NFL wide receiver, and you can watch him on football nights in San Diego after Sunday Night Football with Rich and our good friend Darnay Tripp. We'll talk to you next Friday, Greg. John will be back, so we'll have the band back together next week. But until then, have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, sounds good. See you next week.
All right, coming up later in the show, Kevin Acee still to join us at 5:30. Also, we'll check in with John in Chicago. He's texted me. He's landed. He's walking around the streets of Chicago. So we'll check in with him. Padres tonight start the final home series of their regular season. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup. So we'll talk about all that. Coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it's Jim from Jon and Jim for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. The next level of luxury has arrived. Treat yourself to a stunning new stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the thrills of Jamul Casino Resort, now all in one unforgettable destination. Unwind in style, experience pure relaxation with indulgent treatments, serene spaces, and a retreat designed to refresh your body and mind. Only at Jamul Casino Resort. You can learn more and book a treatment today at jamulcasino.com/spa. And you can join them every Monday in September for a chance to win big with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Your odds, they are better than ever. There's only one Monday left in September. So to get to Jamul Casino today, their Onyx players will receive an extra $500 in cash bonuses on top of their winnings, plus earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $100,000 in cash. This is a promotion that you will not want to miss. The all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Padres start their final home series of the year tonight at Petco, 6:40 first pitch. You know, because I don't get the emails anymore from the Padres, we are dependent on Jon to provide us with Mike Shildt pregame sound before games.
Did you tell him to send it to me?
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay. Because last time I had to do it and he sent it right away.
Well, here's the thing. I texted him and he has not responded. So either he saw the text and was like, screw Jim, I'll let him sweat this one out. Or he just hasn't, he's just doing something else. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I for some reason, I mean, not getting the emails anymore. Oh, he just said he sent it to you. So we'll hear from Mike Shildt coming up here in a bit. My guess is it's like less than 4 minutes. How long is it, Brent?
He just sent it to me.
Okay. All right. So my guess is we got 4 minutes of Shilty sound. Over, under 4 minutes. My guess is the under.
I'll go over because it's Friday.
Yeah, and it's the final home series of the year.
He's gonna get a lot of fluff questions. So Mike, are you gonna miss the City Connect jerseys?
I think he won't miss them. Mike Shildt, I don't think the City Connect jerseys fit Mike Shildt. Over. How long is it, Brent?
A little over 6 minutes.
Okay. Well, we got time here. Let me know when you have it ready. And we'll hear from Mike Shildt here pregame before the final home series of the year. Padres have made a couple moves. They have put Ramon Liriano on the IL, and they have brought up Will Wagner to replace him. So That's official. If anyone was wondering, there would be an outside chance that he might, buck the trend of injuries here and overcome a broken finger. Yeah, that's not happening. He's on the IL. You have it ready, Brent? All right, here's Mike Shildt pregame before the final home series of the regular season.
He starts with Taddy being back.
Felt good putting that name in the top of the lineup yesterday. Texted with him, and every day is gradually better. And yesterday, really felt almost back to normal, and said he's more than ready and excited to get back in the lineup.
Yeah. On the other hand, you talked about a little bit the post game the other day, the loss of Liriano. Just maybe go over again just how important he's been to this ball club and the loss it is for the postseason right now.
It is a loss. It's definitely the loss. Been very important for the club. Brings look, he's a really talented player. Mentioned it the other day. He's not overly splitty, so righties, lefties. He hits them both. He's actually been better against righties this year. So having the ability to have him down the 7-hole was, would have been a nice luxury to have, and one that we had a little bit for a while. But we're going to miss him. He brings an edge, a toughness, and played a really good left field. So, but he's not going to be with us. And so, listen, we're going to be there and support him, and he'll be with us and travel with us and be a good teammate. But, we'll run with the 26 we're going to have on Tuesday, and we're going to go get them.
And to your point, it's not as though he's been with you all year. There have been other opportunities for other guys to step up as needed with other injuries and everything. So a little bit of a history of having done that. A little bit of consolation knowing that you've been there before and you guys have come through it.
Yeah, it's the consolation is the fact that I was just talking to Peeve about this. This setting in a straight line. No team does a straight line every year. But relative to moving pieces to your question, Scan, we've dealt with it all year. We just really have. And we came out of the gates with pretty much our entire team, and then we all know, without having to go over it, the things that have happened during the course of our position players and our starting pitching too, but specifically the lineup, we've been able to put it together. Good news is we've got a deep team. AJ's given us a lot of resources, and we move them around, and we've been able to be successful enough to clearly be in the playoffs.
Is there a move to announce yet who's replacing him right now?
Wagner's coming back. Yes, sir.
Can you disclose how he injured himself?
Who?
Liriano. How did he get hurt? How did he break his finger?
Oh, he got hit by that foul ball. It was like a foul ball of his finger. But essentially, effectively a hit by a pitch.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That at bat?
Yes, sir. During that at bat. And one tough guy, like his finger's shattered. Like it's like a spider web. It's like and I saw it's like, I'm not clearly a doctor. And he was like,
And he went back in the game, didn't he?
He finishes at bat, and then we pulled him out immediately.
Yeah.
Tough guy.
Now that you know your matchup, they've done this with where it's going to be, your postseason matchup. What can you say about what the challenge would be like facing the Padres?
We haven't played them in a while. Clearly, it's a good team. Had a great season. Very talented. Across the board. The pitching, the position players. They play defense. They do a lot of different things to win games, which clearly you do have to do to get in the playoffs. We haven't played them since April, and but we're familiar and we have some experiences in that ballpark with some of our players, and we know the team fairly well, and it'll be a great series, I'm sure.
Both teams being a little bit different than they were in April. How much do you take from this series?
A lot of water under the bridge, right? In the last 5 months since April. To your point, we have a different roster. They have some different rosters. We also have some commonalities with some people that have been in the league on both sides that everybody's familiar with. So we have an understanding of who they are, and we've got our mind on this series, and we also have some attention towards getting prepared for that series as well.
Do you have a rotation for those 2 games yet?
Not a rotation yet, but we will announce something here soon, especially our game 1 starter, which I don't think anyone is going to need to be sitting down.
Right, exactly. But your game 2, that's still up in the air.
That's accurate.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So aside for, the changes, obviously Tucker being out of their lineup is a big one.
Yeah, again, I think until we see their roster, we won't speculate on who is written on their or our roster, quite frankly.
Right.
He's back today.
Right.
He was back in the lineup today.
Right, so he's back.
Yep. And you saw a lot of Wrigley Field when you were with the Cardinals. How type of place can that environment be?
Seen a lot of Wrigley Field over the last however many 10 years or so. It's a great environment. I think it's one of the better environments in baseball. It's not Petco Park, but it's a wonderful, fun environment, and I always enjoy the opportunity to go play there.
Like you've been wearing these City Connect jerseys for a few years now. Is the last time you're going to get to put them on? Your thoughts on changing those up and how you have felt wearing them these past few years?
I think I applaud Eric Rubner and the business side of creating something that's really, really unique. And I don't know the numbers, but I know that when people want Padres gear, we have a lot of cool different uniforms. But man, male, female, people want the City Connect, and it's just a unique uniform that's we've enjoyed the last couple of years, and it creates another opportunity for something new next year.
But it's fair to say this weekend there's some competition for the last couple spots in the bullpen on what that postseason roster is.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I mean, I think we've got an idea, but who's throwing well and who's doing what they need to be doing is important.
You mentioned Liriano is important to the number 7 spot. Those 6, 7, 8 lefties. Are you okay with that lane of lefties given kind of what they've done against lefties? Or
I think to answer your question, I do think that we're going to continue as the research takes place, and we pay attention to matchups. There's an opportunity in there. I don't know about starting. Again, that's hard before the horse, but Jose Iglesias is taking some good at-bats for this team and some big at-bats. So, it's a lane that is likely to take place. I can't say for sure, but it's also, we have to explore the matchups individually with those lefties against, our lefties and in the moment what we need, what the game calls for.
All right, real quick, 2 things. Barry Bloom, just stop, dude. Just stop. Stop. And then number 2, that was Shilt's nicest way possible, saying that he's not a big City Connect jersey fan, but he appreciates and understands how much everyone else loves them. So we'll talk about that. React to Mike Shildt coming up next hour. But coming up next, John from Chicago joins the show. Coming up next right here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Lexus El Cajon. Bring luxury home. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park when they take on the Diamondbacks. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect uniforms, as it's going to be retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish pitching for the Padres and Zach Gallen on the hill for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. Right now we're on upset alert in college football. Right now, number 8, Florida State is trailing at Virginia 14-0 with
fraud alert.
Yeah, with about 10 seconds, with about 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage with Fletch starts at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. And then following the Aztecs football, you can catch San Diego FC as they take on the San Jose Earthquakes in their final regular season game at Snapdragon. Our pregame coverage with Darren and Adrian begins at 7 o'clock. This fall, discover why Lexus El Cajon is #1 for customer service. With unbeatable offers on new and pre-owned Lexus models in stock, you've got to visit LexusElCajon.com today. Bring luxury home from Lexus El Cajon.
The Padres finish up the season versus the D-backs at Petco. Now we look to next week's wild card round, and the Aztecs face another road test versus Northern Illinois. Plus, it's SDFC's last regular season home game. Next up, the playoffs. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, it's maybe John, but definitely Jim.
All right, final hour of Jon and Jim on a Friday. Kevin Acey is going to join me at 5:30. Jon is in Chicago on the ground, touring the city. He's going to join us right now. Is he on the phone? We got him? Cool. All right. So what's up, buddy? How we doing?
What's going on, man? Yeah, I'm kind of living my best life.
Must be nice.
Seeing the sights and sounds of Illinois and Chicago. And I am going to make my way downtown, I think, within the hour. But yeah, it's beautiful weather. It's like San Diego. It's 75, not a cloud in the sky. It should be a great day for football tomorrow, too.
Well, also, the Chicago is going to be the site, most likely, of the wild card series next week between the Padres and the Cubs. Cubs just blowing out the Cardinals today. It's pretty much set. It's not official yet, but we know what's going to happen. Padres are going to play the Cubs on the road at Wrigley. Like, does your mindset change here, knowing that they're going to be on the road officially come, either tonight or tomorrow for next week's wild card series?
Honestly, I like this becoming more definitive, truthfully, because you allow your mind start. You try to do things maybe if you're Mike Shildt or you're AJ Preller or even these players that you probably have no business of doing. I mean, it's so stacked against you at this point. And, if it comes to a loss today, you know what? Let's go for it. But the odds still would have been stacked against them, even if they pulled to within one game with 2 to play. That still doesn't make it likely. It still would be unlikely. So now you can go through the motions of getting guys at bats and literally working prior to a game and saying, hey, Adrian Morejon, you get a 7th inning regardless of score. I'm making it up on Friday or Saturday, and then you're not going to pitch on Sunday. I just think it lets you get more set for the postseason next Tuesday, and you don't have to fake it. I think now you just got to go through the motions of the weekend and put all of your efforts and energy into next Tuesday.
We were talking about today, Tatis returns to the lineup. He's back with the Padres off of his illness. And we talked about the numbers. Like, he was hot before he went down with the sickness. Any concern that the illness is going to affect Fernando here going into a postseason?
I wonder what he's going to look like. And I wonder also how hard they'll kind of go with him this weekend.
Yeah.
Does he get all 9 innings today, or do they give him something like 2 or 3 at bats at half a game because he hasn't played in 4 or 5 days, and then maybe give him 9 innings Saturday and then rest him on Sunday? That would be, maybe a strategy worth considering. I don't think you have to play him all 3 games and give him all 9 innings of all 3 games. I'm curious. The thing that Tatis has that some of these other players don't is he's got the track record in the postseason. So I do think he's trustworthy. He's fully capable. He can win games single-handedly for you. He has done that multiple times in the postseason in a short postseason career. So I'm going to trust Fernando Tatis Jr. But it's definitely a wrinkle to deal with an injury that keeps you away from the team for 4 or 5 days this late in the year. It's definitely something that they could have lived without.
So Shildt in his pregame today all but confirmed that Nick Pivetta is going to be the game 1 starter. Now, the game 2 starter is what everyone's talking about. And you got Darvish tonight. You got King tomorrow, which is still interesting. I know we talked about it yesterday. But, as far as what you want to see tonight and tomorrow, I mean, they're pretty much locked in right now. It feels like you don't really need to see much because what else is going to change their mind on things? Or do you think things could change their mind with what they see tonight or tomorrow?
Man, I wish I knew. It is interesting that Darvish throws Friday, which lines him up for game 2. And Michael King throws Saturday, which lines him up for a potential 3rd game if that game's even played. I think, I mean, tell me if you agree, I think they'll be cautious with both of them. And I'd be surprised if either of those pitchers went beyond, let's say, 70 or 75 pitches. And I think by doing that, maybe, there's no wiggle room, though, with King. You cannot pitch him on short rest. Barring him throwing 1 inning tomorrow or 2, I just don't understand any of the reasoning that would put him on the mound on short rest. He would literally have to throw 1 or 2 innings tomorrow. So it almost, to your point, it almost seems set in stone when you talk through it that if Darvish is going to throw on a Friday night, he's lined up for game 2, regardless of what happens here tonight.
I just think that it would be very weird to have Michael King go game 2, but then only pitch him a couple innings tomorrow. Like, wouldn't you want him to pitch tonight so then he's on full rest for game 2? I don't know what they're going to do. It would lend me to believe that they really are going to go Darvish game 2, which, look, if you look at the numbers, not like Darvish is putting up any good numbers here. I mean, he's got around a 5 ERA. He's not pitching particularly well, and he's been on pretty much a pitch limit most of the season. I don't know, man. Game 2, Darvish, I don't know. That kind of scares me. Like, I'm not going to lie. That kind of scares me.
I feel the same way, but it's like they don't have great options. I mean, you brought up the really good point yesterday of, look at what Michael King has done here.
Yeah.
He's thrown no innings. I mean, since May 18th, he has thrown so few innings that no matter what you're going to do here, when he makes his first start in the postseason, and hopefully there'll be a number of them, but when he makes his first start, he's not going to provide you length in all likelihood. You're talking about very high leverage, taxing pitches by and large in the postseason, which means, you're hopeful you can get 5 innings out of Michael King if and when he pitches in the postseason. I don't think you could ever expect more than that. So it's an interesting way to go into the postseason. And beyond Nick Pivetta, they don't have amazing game 2 options. They don't have terrible options, but you're really feeling it right now, that lack of a strong second starter that almost was like a formality heading into the year.
Mm-hmm.
And now Nick Pivetta has emerged as the 1, and there's nobody that's a 2, and Pivetta was the late signing. It's crazy how the season has played out, and they need someone to step up. I mean, it's as simple as that. And they need Darvish randomly in a game 2 start to go 5 innings of 1-run baseball. Maybe it happens, but if it doesn't, we'll go back to the point that they just don't have reliable starting pitching beyond Nick Pivetta.
And who needs to step up the most is this offense. Like this offense could do their starting pitchers a great help here if they go out there and they put some runs on the board. Like that, to me, also is something that we're not talking a lot about. We've talked a lot about, the game 2, the game 3 starter, but I mean, the offense here, like you're going to have to go on the road and you're going to have to put up some runs at Wrigley Field to give them, a chance here. And if they go in this series and it's like they get shut down by another lefty and then they get shut down by another lefty. And then it's like, well, it doesn't matter what the starting pitching does. It's like last year, the starting pitching was decent. Game 4, take that out. But like they were fine. The pitching wasn't the problem. It was the offense.
Also, you and I have been watching the Cubs over the last week, and while they haven't been winning every single night, they have a very capable offense, which was once again on display today. Even the game they lost to the Mets the other day, they built a 6-1 lead in. I'm not envisioning the Padres going into Wrigley Field and winning any game 2-1. If they do, that's a remarkable postseason pitching performance on the road in an environment that leans offense traditionally at Wrigley Field. So I'm with you. You have to outscore them. You have to be able to overcome an average or below average start from a Michael King or Darvish, and you need to put a crooked number or 2 up there, whether that's the long ball or what the Padres do, which is like walk, hit by pitch, steal a base, and a random double down the right field line. You score 2 or 3 runs. I mean, they're going to have to score 5 or 6 runs would be my guess to win a series at Wrigley Field. I just don't envision every game being 3-2 or 2-1.
Are you done with your Northern Illinois prep?
Done's a strong word. I'll wrap it up between now and 2:30 Central, 12:30 Pacific tomorrow. But I think the more that I look into it, the more I'm pretty convinced it'll be a good, low-scoring game between somewhat similar teams. They both have good defenses. They both have offenses that, I think you've seen more of the defense so far from San Diego State, obviously, in the 2 shutouts. I think you've seen offense that's capable. Jaden Denigal played well this past week, 15 of 18. Lucky Sutton's run the ball effectively. NIU, that they have a good defense, and offensively, they're still kind of emerging. They're a run-heavy team. So, it could be one of those last year here at Central Michigan. It was a closely played, low-scoring, like 21-20, 22-21 type game. That's what I envision. I think it's going to be a low-scoring 24-21 or 21-17, and hopefully San Diego State can pull one out on the road. It's so important. You get to 3-1 coming home with all that momentum. It would go a long way. So we've talked about it this week. I think it's a very important game for San Diego State tomorrow.
Well, I asked if you are done with your Northern Illinois prep because you're scared of everybody the Aztecs play, even if like they were playing University of Phoenix Online of North Dakota or something. So I was going to ask, what's the scariest part of Northern Illinois for tomorrow for you?
Their running backs. They have 2 running backs that are both really highly skilled. Shavon Wright is a guy that leads. He's the active leader in career rushing yards. He's over 5,000. He's a little bit like Marquez Cooper. He's a bowling ball, 76 career touchdowns. All that was at Division II, but he's now at Northern Illinois. And watching some of the highlights of the first 3 games, he's a very good, sound, competent running back. And they have another tailback that's been with them that's a good, sound, competent running back. And they'll put both of them in the backfield. And I just go back to the second half last year where San Diego State, where they really got worn down, was in that run game. Now, we haven't really seen that happen, thankfully, through the first 3 games. The Aztecs have been good against the run. They weren't perfect at Washington State, but it wasn't. I'd have to look at the final numbers. I think Washington State ran for something like 130 yards in that game. You can live with that. But when a team goes for like 230 yards, that's what NIU wants to do. Their head coach is a former running back at NIU. They want to run it 60% of the time. You just can't allow those 5-6 yard run plays each and every down and those 7 or 8 minute drives to keep your defense on the field. So, shore up the run game, which they've been much better at this year. And they will absolutely have an opportunity to win tomorrow on the road.
All right, 12:30 kickoff time, San Diego State, Northern Illinois. Of course, you can listen to John and Rich right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, you go back to doing whatever you were doing in Chicago, and and we'll listen to you on the broadcast tomorrow, all right?
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, later. All right, coming up next, we're going to get more into this Padres weekend series against Arizona. Also, Kevin Acee is going to join me at 5:30. So stay tuned right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Tomorrow, the Aztecs go on the road to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts at 10:30 a.m. with kickoff around 12:30 p.m. on your home for the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. So Kevin Acee is going to join us at 5:30. Aaron Judge has just hit another home run, his 53rd of the year. The conversation and the debate between him and Cal Raleigh, it's a fun one. Unfortunately, Cal's not going to win the debate. He won't. And it sucks because like Cal Raleigh put together such a cool, awesome, amazing, fun season. And I wish he would have won the MVP. I wish he would be getting the MVP. Now, do I think it's going to be unanimous, Judge? I don't. I do think Cal Raleigh is going to get some first place votes. But he's not going to get enough. He'll definitively finish in second place, but he's not going to overtake Aaron Judge.
This is going to be one of those years where it's just Cal Raleigh's bad luck that it happened the same year that this happened with Judge. It's kind of in a way the same way that,
Ohtani is around and Schwarber has this season.
Sort of, yeah. The analogy I was going to use was it'd be like, Sammy Sosa having that great year, but Mark McGwire was a little bit better. So everyone's going to pretty much just give all the
McGwire hit 70.
McGwire. Yeah, but you know what I mean, to where it's just like he gets overshadowed because if it would have happened on separate years, it would have been like two great seasons in baseball history. But now since they both happened at the same time, one of them kind of overshadows the other.
By the way, it was his 52nd home run. I said 53rd. Who cares? Still 50 plus home runs.
You're foreshadowing. He'll hit it later.
Listen to this stat though on Aaron Judge. This is insane. Aaron Judge is slugging .806 on fastballs this year. .806 is his slugging percentage against fastballs. 187 total bases and 232 at bats against fastballs this season. Excuse me? Yeah, I saw somewhere that, when you look at OPSs this year, Aaron Judge beats out Cal Raleigh by like 175 points. And if you took that and you took Cal Raleigh's OPS and subtracted 175 points, you get Jake Cronenworth. So like when you put it that way, it makes it that more impressive what Aaron Judge is doing compared to what Cal Raleigh is doing. I thought Cal Raleigh's OPS would be in the over 1,000, but it's not. And Aaron Judge, his OPS is, again, like I said, you take his OPS, you subtract the number for Cal Raleigh, you get the difference there, and then you do the same thing for Cal Raleigh, you get Jake Cronenworth. Like that's how far Aaron Judge is ahead of Cal Raleigh as far as OPS goes on the season. Still, nothing to take away from Cal Raleigh, but when you look at these two seasons that these players have put up, man, I would not want to be an American League MVP voter. That would be brutal. Now, if you're Ben Verlander, that guy can't help himself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to his social media. He loves, I think, to just attract the most amount of trolls as possible. Because he was saying that Cal Raleigh 100% should win the MVP and gave his reasons why. And I understand, like, you can give your reasons for why someone wins the MVP without diminishing what the other player has done. But it's just the way that he comes off. Like he's just creepy. Sorry, Ben Verlander, you're creepy. But in the National League, I don't think there's going to be a debate. I really don't.
That's going to be a runaway again.
I think both of these are runaways. We're in an era where you have one player in the American League and one player in the National League that are just so dominant that it's hard to give anybody else the MVP unless those two players have off years.
Yeah, Schwarber would have had to just gone ballistic the last 2 weeks of the season to even stay in the conversation with it, especially since Ohtani's pitching again. And granted, he struggled when he first started pitching with his ERA, but he's kind of got everything under control and he's been getting his strikeouts up again. But I think that's the big thing. If you can't, I think John said it yesterday that it would be one thing if he's still just DHing and he wasn't playing in the field and he wasn't pitching, but he's doing both again, so you have to factor that in.
When Ohtani is just hitting, he's one of the best players in the sport. When Ohtani is pitching and hitting the way he is the best player in the sport.
Well, yeah, because that's what makes him unique.
Exactly.
If he doesn't have that, there's no difference between him and any other like power hitting DH.
But he's still, don't get me wrong, he's still amazing at the plate. Like there's no doubt about it. His year last year and this year, and it's incredible. He's on another level right now. There's no denying it, even though he's a Dodger, and even though I think he's one of the fakest players in the sport, and I think, I hate him because he's a Dodger. You can't deny he's one of the best.
I will say, at least this year, they haven't been as bad with shoving average
down our throat. Yeah.
Well, they're always going to shove him down our throat, but it's a matter of, last year he would do things that were like, they're better than average, but there are things that people have done before. But Jeff Passan and all them would act like nobody's ever done this before. And it's like, well, actually, yeah, people have done that. This year, they're just kind of just talking about his game. They're not so much taking, simple stats and then just blowing them out of proportion just because he did it and acting like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever, with exceptions of that Marlins game. Just hyping everything up and just making more out of it than it is.
All right, coming up next, our Padres insider Kevin Acee is going to join us from Petco Park to preview the final home series of the year and get us ready for next week's matchup, most likely on the road in Chicago against the Cubs. Kevin Acee coming up next.
This report is sponsored by Prime Big Deal Days. The Padres start their final series of the regular season tonight down at Petco Park when they take on the Diamondbacks. It's also going to be the last time the team wears their City Connect uniforms, as they're going to be retired by Nike. It's going to be Yu Darvish going for the Padres and Zach Gallen on the hill for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. And remember that college football upset watch we talked about? Yeah, never mind. Florida State's come roaring back and scored 21 unanswered. With about 2 minutes to go in the first half, it is Florida State 21, Virginia 14. The Aztecs are on the road tomorrow afternoon to take on Northern Illinois. Our pregame coverage starts right here at 10:30. John and Rich will have the kick around 12:30. Then following Aztecs football, you can catch San Diego FC as they take on the San Jose in their final regular season game at Snapdragon Stadium. Pre-game coverage for that will start with Adrian and Darren at 7 o'clock. Prime Big Deal Days are happening on October 7th and 8th with savings up to 40% off. This is your chance to grab that item you've been thinking about. It's Prime Big Deal Days coming soon, October 7th and 8th.
All right, our Padres insider Kevin Acee joined us live from Petco Park. Padres' final home series of the regular season starting tonight against the D-backs. Yu Darvish on the mound tonight. Michael King on the mound tomorrow night. I kind of found that odd, Kevin, and tell me if you agree, because if you look at how things would line up, this would mean that Yu Darvish would line up for game 2 and Michael King would line up for a potential game 3. Do you see that's how they're going to play it here, or what are they thinking with their rotation?
Yeah, there could be that, or Cease could work game 2. They like Cease against the Cubs. I still think that it's probably Darvish King, but they're not convinced that either one of these guys is entirely ready to be the starter or a starter in the playoffs, given how it's gone. I think that Michael King in particular, they want to see that he can have a full, 5 innings of being the guy that they need him to be. I was surprised too. I was. And eventually you go, all right, well, here's what I'm getting. Every time they talk about this playoff series, it's that their bullpen is going to carry, or, they're prepared for. They would love for their guys to go 7 innings, but they're prepared for their bullpen to do the bulk of the work here. Or it's fair share. And so, I think they're going to carry 4 starters, and they might take all 5, as in Randy Vasquez. Let's say that it is Darvish and King, that Vasquez and Cease could be on the roster, not with the expectation that both of them would pitch, but one of them probably. And it's possible that 2, just depending on how it goes, they are going to have, like, Mike Shildt had a pretty quick hook in September, and he's going to have a quick hook in the playoffs, I think.
And it's interesting to think about, because if it is going to be Yu Darvish game 2, and if there's, if they end up losing the first 2 games, obviously they're done. This scenario is like, we might have seen the last of Dylan Cease yesterday, and then with King tomorrow. Like that's a real thing. It's kind of weird to think about that.
It is. I'm going to defer to them on what they think is best and how they match up. But I think we're going to be able to second guess almost anything they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Every move, every pitching change, every lineup decision, we will absolutely. If we're going to question it in the regular season, you're damn right we're going to question the hell out of it in the postseason. Kevin Acee joined us here on Jon and Jim. Good news: Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup tonight after his illness. Kind of a bad time for him to get sick, because he was playing really good baseball. He had the home run on Sunday. His numbers over his last 15 plus games, really good. And we all know come postseason time, Fernando Tatis Jr., if he's in the postseason, he's a big time player. How is he feeling getting ready to go for the postseason here coming up next week?
Supposedly really good. And I'll say that he looked really good. I know that I don't recover like I used to, and I never was in the shape that Fernando's in. 26-year-old guy. He looks fine. Now, he didn't play 9 innings or anything and play them back to back. So, maybe he won't, right? Maybe he gets tomorrow off after going 9 tonight. Or maybe they'll find a way that he's not going 9 tonight. I don't know. What I will say is that the reports were that he's feeling really good. And when I watched him, I'm like, just even not the fact that he took outfield for a long time, he hit for a long time, even just the way he was bouncing around. If you didn't know that he'd been sick and actually really sick Monday and Tuesday, you wouldn't have known by looking at him today.
Do you feel like they're going to push it tonight? Because, they're technically, mathematically still alive for a 4 seed, but they would need to sweep the Diamondbacks, and then the Cubs need to lose both games against the Cardinals. How do you envision they play this year until they officially know they're eliminated from hosting a postseason series in the wild card round?
One thing I'd feel confident in saying is they won't overexpend the bullpen, right? They're not going to do that because, that's their plan for the postseason.
Yeah.
So that said, tonight, had a day off yesterday. Why not go for it tonight, right? And see what happens tomorrow and be forced tomorrow night. Like, let's say the Cubs lose, be forced tomorrow night to have to make the tough decision. But I think tonight we should expect that, given the opportunity, Mike Shildt will manage this as if the game matters, right? Because that would really suck to, go 2-1 and have the Cubs go 1-2, because that meant you were a game away from getting the home field.
Last time we talked, Padres were still mathematically in it for the division. Now, obviously, that thing is done. Dodgers clinched yesterday against Arizona. I'm curious to know your thoughts on just how you describe the final month and a half here, where the Padres, had a game lead in the division. They had the quote unquote easiest schedule in baseball, and they still, in the end, lose out on another division to the Dodgers.
Yeah, and if the season does not, let's say they go 1 and out, or, let's say they go 1 and out. I don't know that, if they make it to the next round, we could say, well, them not winning the division really, affected them, right? We can just kind of dissect what they did in the postseason.
Right.
But they had to go to Wrigley. They had a chance to get the division, and not just a chance. They had a chance last year. They had a golden opportunity this year.
Yeah.
You cannot say anything other than that they choked away the division. Generally, I'm going to not use language like that. Maybe I even shouldn't have here. I don't like that word. But you can't be too myopic about this. Oftentimes we are only looking at the Padres. Well, they played horribly. And then broaden your view. And the Dodgers played horribly. How did the Padres not take advantage of this? Now, if you're the Dodgers fans, I'm assuming that last week before you clinched, you were saying basically the same thing, right? How is this not clinched already?
Yeah.
But they had major bullpen problems. The Padres simply played horribly. And too often. That doesn't mean every game. That doesn't mean every player. That doesn't mean every at-bat. But they just didn't play to the level that they had been playing, and that they certainly better be playing going into the postseason. So I don't know how you feel. I'm assuming you feel the same way, that this was just a horrible, horrible lost opportunity. Now, they have a chance to make that not important. Lots of World Series winners have.
Right.
Now, lots of World Series winners were number 1 or 2 seeds, and didn't make it hard on themselves. But it wouldn't be unprecedented. So they absolutely have the opportunity to make it so that we're not talking about losing the division. But they've also made it so that we can talk about it all winter if we want.
Exactly. And is the organization, are they bummed out about this? How do they feel about this? Because I'm with you, Kevin. I look at it the same way, where there is this, it was on a silver platter. And if you can't beat the Orioles of the world and the Twins of the world, and the games they lost to the Rockies, and the game they lost to the White Sox, and the 2 games they lost to the Mets, they have no one to blame but themselves. And is there this woe is us, not woe is us, but a little bit of a down feeling in the organization, because you're going to look at the standings at the end of the year, and the Dodgers are going to win 90 games, and you're like, we couldn't have beaten that.
Yeah, there is. And then there's also just not any time for them to dwell on it. But make no mistake that they've assessed it, they will assess it, and that they are, they believe there was a letdown, and that the Padres did not play certain players and didn't play up to their potential, and that it perhaps was, because of the competition they were playing. And there's no excuse for that. There just isn't. I will say that it happens. And the baseball is I can't even explain to people. I covered the NFL for 15 years. Brutal sport. This is the most difficult sport, not only for what goes on the field, how difficult it is to play this game from a skill, but the 162 games in 187 days. I want to give them that, but there is no excuse for playing down to your competition when you have that right there in front of you. So I want to make that very clear too. And that there is a widespread belief in the organization that's what happened with some. And this is a team that needs they need that team thing. They need everybody pulling in the same direction because, Aaron Judge ain't going to come and hit you 52 home runs.
Exactly. Yeah. Kevin Acee, join us from Petco Park. Final one from me, Kevin. So how do you envision resting players go this weekend? We'll just say that they're going to go to Chicago. The hope of them, that's out the window. Are we going to see Manny get a bunch of rest this weekend? How do you envision it?
I would imagine he's definitely one day. And I would think it might be 2 days. But, this team, man, they go at it. They were out doing one of their longest infields and TFPs. That's pitcher fielding practice.
Yeah.
They were out doing that today.
Wow.
So first game of the last series. They work, man. I don't, you can tell, I guess, that I kind of don't get it sometimes. And there's some people in the organization that don't get it sometimes. And there's people that love it. And some players don't get it sometimes. It's what they do. I don't have an answer for you about the rest situation other than to say they definitely will rest them. But look, I would have sat Manny the whole series. But, that's me, and that really doesn't matter.
Let's just hope that no Padres players go on any streaming sites and talk about how their manager made them do PFP stuff, Kevin. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, there's a different level of success that's happening here and all that. And I was just, I know. I think about that all the time.
It's oh no.
I was so first off, Will Myers, great guy.
Yeah.
Really liked Andy. Really did. I swear to you, he did. And Andy, just a terrible rap, man.
Yeah.
Had such a crap team. But I think about it every single time I see them out there in September. And I want to tell you, I pay attention to this. That is way more than virtually every other team does.
Yeah, Andy was the sacrificial lamb. They needed a manager.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was the sacrificial lamb. All right, Kevin, we will talk to on Monday. Getting ready for Padres Cubs in the wild card round starting next Tuesday. We don't have the time yet, but we'll find that out on Sunday. So we'll talk to you next week. All right, man.
Take care.
All right, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider there. All right, we'll wrap up the week. Coming up next with my back page. Stay with us on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, so tomorrow, pack day here on San Diego Sports 760. We have Aztecs football in the afternoon, 12:30-ish kickoff time in at Northern Illinois, excuse me. Then we have SDFC at night against San Jose, 7:30 kickoff time. Both those games can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. So, Brent, you just finished up season 1 of Peacemaker. Season 2 of Peacemaker is currently underway. Episode 6 got released last night. There are 2 episodes left in season 2. Of a watcher of both season 1 and now season 2, I can tell you, you're going to really like season 2 if you liked season 1.
Okay. I heard it's a little bit of a slow burn, but once it gets going, it gets going.
It's a little slow burn, but I do think the buildup for it, once it gets to like the crescendo here in episode 7 and 8, don't know what happens in 7 and 8, but I can tell where they're probably going with this. It's potentially, and I actually think it's going to be a better payoff than season 1. But what did you think of season 1?
I liked it. I liked it more as the season went on than I did at the beginning, because when you learned more about the Peacemaker character, he became more sympathetic opposed to just being an a-hole, for lack of a better term.
Right. Did you find it as funny as I found it?
Parts of it.
Okay.
I thought Vigilante was hilarious.
Yes, he's amazing.
He was the funniest one just because he's so oblivious to everything.
So oblivious. It's even better in season 2.
But yeah, he's my favorite. And then like some of the just little things I thought were funny were, the little green karate, it was judo master.
Yeah.
You know, how he's just always eating flaming hot Cheetos all the time, which I did see an interesting theory on that though, is that he was eating the flaming hot Cheetos all the time because he didn't trust the butterflies, and that would keep them from going in his mouth because it'd be too much hotness in his mouth.
Interesting.
That's why he's always eating flaming hot Cheetos in that show.
Well, anyway, if you have not watched Peacemaker yet and you're a DC fan, highly, highly recommend. I've been trying to get Brent to watch that show forever.
I got 3 episodes in, and then I just started watching something else and I didn't go back. But I wanted to get caught up because James Gunn has been doing a good job of teasing it.
Yeah.
And he said that the end of this season is going to be pretty much the lead in for Superman Man of Tomorrow. So, so that was what got my butt in gear pretty much and said, I have to start watching it. That my friend said he's thinking about canceling his Max subscription. So I do better when I'm put on a time limit.
Let's go, Brent. Pick it up. Well, season 2 almost done. 2 weeks left for Peacemaker season 2. All right, Brent, let's get to it. All right, so the Tigers are playing the Boston Red Sox tonight on Apple TV Plus. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 3-1 Boston, but that's not the story. The story is tonight's Apple TV broadcast for the Tigers Red Sox game is entirely shot on an iPhone 17 Pro. So Apple is using its brand new iPhone 17 Pro as a live broadcast camera tonight for the game between the Tigers and the Red Sox. 4 iPhones will be positioned around Fenway Park, providing direct feeds to the production truck. The iPhone just released the new iPhone 17 Pro, I think either this week or last week, maybe a couple weeks ago. I don't even know. I think I have a 15 Pro. I won't get one until like the 20 comes out. But that is I think a really good way to market the phone. Like, look how great this picture is. But at the same time, that's kind of crazy to have the entire broadcast off of an iPhone. What?
It's just crazy because it's just product placement for Apple on their own TV network.
It is, so but if the broadcast is still good and the picture looks great.
Well, it's going to look great because, as you've seen from the other iPhone commercials that, there's people that literally they shoot movies with iPhones now.
That is true.
They won't spend that, tens of, more than that, 10 grand and more on, actual film cameras. They'll just do the whole thing on iPhones. They'll get a couple iPhones and they'll be good to go. So it doesn't surprise me. Do I think it's going to be the wave of the future? Do I think Fox is going to replace their TV cameras with iPhone 20s in 2 years? No.
I mean, look, if you told me back in 2007 when the iPhone first came out that eventually one day we would have a Major League Baseball game shot on an iPhone.
Well, can you imagine that? We go from hey, there's our camera guy, Tom. Wave to the people, Tom. He's there, the camera. Now it's just going to be, there's Tom just standing there like a goon holding his iPhone.
I mean, it just shows you technology, man. You can literally do anything with an iPhone. You can shoot anything and make it look movie quality or, game quality. Finally, because we're running up against it here, Krispy Kreme is giving away free donuts and coffee for National Coffee Day on September 29th. So come Monday, right? Krispy Kreme's giving away free donuts and coffee on National Coffee Day. So head to Krispy Kreme, get a cup of coffee, and get a free donut. You're welcome. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thanks to Adrian Garcia Marquez. Thanks to Greg Camarillo. Thanks to Brent. Thanks to John. Thanks to Kevin Acey for all joining me today. Aztec football tomorrow afternoon. STFC tomorrow night. So stay tuned for all of that. Until then, have a great night, everybody.